There we go. It's just me so far, it looks like. Yep. We are cooking with Crisco now. We're getting there. All right, you got the right book. Is it the 8th? Yes. Good. CDC uses an old edition. Probably good for y'all because I think it's cheaper. I know it's like 12 in this book now. Which is okay. Let's see what I need. Oh.
How many of us are there?
Should be 6. And then I got, are you familiar with the hybrid class? Okay. Got about another 16 or 17 online students. Yeah. Last semester, that's my paper, somebody else's paper. Paper's big. You read the syllabus? Paper's a big deal. Last semester, only 2 or 3 came in on Zoom. So this is the problem. This is work. This is school. I have another bag for my church stuff. So I need a third bag for school stuff. I'm not telling my wife, buy me a bag because I keep this is I don't have what I need. I do have my books. Good bag. Good. Oh,
What you see here?
I just got a new job. I am now cyber protection, internet stuff, internet safe. Not possible, by the way. Cyber operations for the military. But I just started. My expertise lies in training in schoolhouses. We're going to teach everybody how to do it. My job is to build the schoolhouse. So I'm learning about cyber and cyber protection and such. So yeah, it's pretty neat stuff.
So you're National Guard?
I am National Guard, but I'm active duty National Guard. Are you familiar with that?
I know what it means.
Yeah, I work. It's like Army, but I work with the National Guard. So the people come in 1 week in a month, 2 weeks out of the year. But then I'm the guy that's here all the time.
Oh.
So I'm an active duty guy, works for the Guard. Print something if you would. After the second class, I might know everybody's name, and I won't have to worry about that. But this way, I'll know that to give y'all credit for being here. All right, thank you. This is your last, your senior, junior?
Next year I'll be a senior. Well, I'm a senior now, but I'll be a
Super senior, yeah, I understand that. No one gets done in 4 years anymore. I certainly didn't. All right, I'm going to run down here. See if anybody's in 4 alpha. Yeah, me. Maybe that's still the number that I have in my bed.
that's true. I'm saying maybe it's a 2 weeks.
We're supposed to be 4 Alpha, 4 Bravo. What did it say?
Ooh, that's the 2 I need, bro. I just looking like I was crazy.
Then you go for Bravo. Oh, we're still. Maybe not. One guy called me. I don't know if he could go by Zoom. But he thinks he's going to make it. Said it'd be, but if he couldn't, I think he's a fireman or something. Anyway, he'd zoom in. Hello,
Hi.
how are you?
Good. How are you? Do you
Good.
want us to? Sorry, there's my son back there.
Well, hello.
Do you want us to turn off our cameras?
Whatever you are comfortable with, it doesn't matter to me.
Okay, I might have to mute it because he's 2 years old and gets rather loud. So
I understand. That is not a problem at all. You can mute and just holler in when you have a question or anything.
okay,
We'll
thank
get
you,
started in about, I don't know, another 5 minutes or so. And what's your
Okay.
name?
Danielle
Danielle.
Martin.
Okay. Well, I'm
Yeah, I think
Steven.
it's
I'm
muted
the
there,
instructor. So,
so.
all
Okay,
right. Hey, and here in a minute, I'm going to pull the slides up. If you don't see the slides when I get to talking, you let me know.
okay, I sure will.
Because sometimes I do that and I'm halfway through and they tell me, hey, your slides are not up or they're not changing. So let me know if they don't.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Share screen with desktop. Oh, I don't have slides up. That's what it is. There we go. Here we go. Let's take a look at the syllabus. Can you see that on your screen now? The syllabus?
Yes.
All right, awesome. First hour of the class. Going over stuff. Like. A lot of people in the building are. Hey, how you doing there? Come on in. You're for principal management? Yep, that's us. That's me. I'm Stephen Paul, the instructor.
Nice to meet you, John Sharp.
Nice to meet you, John. Come have a seat. We're gonna sit around the table if that's okay with everybody.
Yeah.
I started last semester and I had everybody sit right there, but there was like 4 people.
Okay.
So I'm up here and they all invariably sat down here and it was just, I was like, this is weird. So we moved to my conference table.
This is a small class, huh?
Small for the in-class folks. I have 16 or 17 online students. Yeah, instructor student ratio should look good for this one. Yeah, I got some Zoom students on right now too. You familiar with Zoom?
Yeah, we started it last semester. I don't think anybody had logged on to a single session. Like, I guess I've been in 2 classes now that have used it. But
Yeah.
Nobody.
I had 1 or 2 last semester for me, and then I got 1 now on for sure, so we might have some more. And then I try to, and I say try because this is the hard part. After the class is over, it takes about 45 minutes to compress the video.
Right. You get it online.
And then get online. And I hang it online, and invariably every other one doesn't seem to work. And then what we haven't worked out, if I was given a class online only, the lecture would be worth watching. But when it's us talking and then people
Right.
go back on later, they're like, what you
So
put on
just
there?
talking.
Hey, how you doing?
Howdy, howdy.
So it's, but I still hang it out there. And then when I get calls, print and sign there. Mayflower policeman, huh?
Yes, sir.
All right. You know Steve Wilson?
Not personally. I know he used to be there.
He works here in this building full time now.
Does he? Yeah. I knew, I've seen his name on a few things in evidence, right?
Mhm.
Through there. He was probably there with Gene and them were there.
Yeah, I remember since I've been here, I've known him here. But he told me he used to work in the Mayflower Police Department.
His name might be fine.
Got 6 in-class students, so we'll give it a minute to see if the other 3 want to make it.
How'd you end up with one of the biggest classes, more classrooms here when having the small group?
Well, two reasons. One, they put us in the smaller classroom. Then when you syllabus 4A, they always do that at 4 I work here full time.
Okay.
Up until 2 weeks ago, this was my building. I own this building as far as the government's concerned. I've just moved to a new job, but I still get favors. This is the conference room. It's nicer than any other classroom.
Yes, it is.
And then for 6 people, we can just sit around this table and it'll be easier. Oh, the other problem is for Zoom, and if they give me a better, they have some little tablet or some extra speakers. If y'all are sitting here or any other classroom and I'm up walking around, they have a hard time hearing. Even so, then it makes it even more difficult. So this time, I can continually see the screen and see y'all, and without being there. So yeah, we ended up with the big one, what they call the conference room, which I would before I never would give out to CDC. So I'm a bad guy. But in reality, it was because it was our conference room, and this is what we used. But the new guy here is letting me use it still. I guess.
Yeah, I've only had 1 class in here before, and that was with Larry Henderson.
Which room were you in?
I think it was this
Oh yeah, it
one.
was this classroom right here? Yeah, because you must have had I don't know, I've been gone 2 weeks. One of my soldiers was in here, and he moved it over to here. He'll come to me in a minute. I can see him, and I've known him for years. Anyway, just drawing a blank one of those days. But yeah, a couple classes got squeezed in here because he was in class. He goes to CBC. Oh, and these chairs are more comfortable than the other classroom chairs. So that's why we're here. Let's new boss in this building kicks me out, which I doubt it. We're gonna stay here. And again, because it does fit. Now, if we got more than 6 or 7, we'd move to another classroom. Where we could Well, I spent half my life in this room for the last 4 years. I'm comfortable in here. I'm going to run down and make sure no one went to the other before Bravo, just in case they didn't read. And then get back to the start.
One more do you have? Mine. After level elective.
I needed 1 class to fill full time, and they said, I'm not going to take this because they just have whatever they use to offer.
Okay.
They got my book today. They lost it in the mail twice. So that was fun 2 weeks ago.
I wouldn't have been too happy.
They find this actually where it's supposed to be at. Most of them got it.
I'm having fun. Block 3 and block 4.
Have a seat right here. We're gonna be around the conference table. Do a print and sign, that'd be awesome. All righty.
So that.
Got any kin folks that work on care property? I know him. Yeah, it works in there, Carlos Cross. Don't know him? Probably get it. He's crazy. No, just kidding. Good guy. So. We'll give it another minute or two and see. Got 6 for this and then 15 or 16 online students. And one is zoomed in to be online students, which is about 1 or 2 people. Bring in the rest, catch it as they go. Which real difference is if you have to miss a class, okay, let me know. Each week there's a discussion question that comes up that y'all are not responsible to do because you get in class participation for being here. So if you miss class and you want participation points, just answer the discussion question online. It's on the chat board thing, you know, the form, yes. Just answer it. You don't have to answer it for credit because you're here. If you want to weigh in on it and see what other people say, and I had several students after before that had here do that. Which read, kind of see what other else is thinking about. It's good questions. The same stuff we're going over, but so if you have to miss, you can do that. But you can always zoom in from wherever you're at. Yeah.
CBC moving all of their classes to Zoom? It seems like
I'm
class
calling-
3 or 4 have been-
Yeah, they're calling it the hybrid format, and it's an advantage for student and the school because what happens is, had this class had 1 or 2 less people in it, they had to cancel that class and first year already missed out. How that goes. So this way they can ensure a class so instructors are not pulled on. Also, they get an instructor for the price of 1.
Yeah.
2 classes at one time. So I came on when they started doing it. And there's no problem for me. I don't think the other instructors mind either. They just give you a little bit more for doing 2. But so you got to kind of manage both. So the bugs, the reason I tell you that is the bugs we're working through. So the example of the video for the Zoom students, I'll post it. So if you miss it, you see it. The problem is, like I said, if I'm not doing a lecture just straight for that, you know, the breaks are in there and some other things going on and that kind of thing. So if you go on just to see the lecture, it's still good, but it's kind of like watching TV then. You know, it's kind of hard to know what's coming where. If I was just doing online, I would hit everything on point with you pull your slides up where you could read it and you can have it in your book and be in order. But because of discussion in class, we can go different ways and jump ahead or back and forth. So we're kind of working through those 2. But for the online students, they have a discussion question, have the same assignments and everything else, and then have to read it. So
But they will interact with you during class?
Mhm.
Like,
Yep.
you can-
She can talk. She's got it on mute right now. Here in a minute, we'll talk to her. And yes. And I tell them just, come in and say what you want to say and do and whatever. And be, when you need to.
difficult, hard to focus on students in class and then people
Yeah.
online.
Yeah, another reason I've got the table here. If I ever get a class with 10 or 12 and have to do it, have to stand up. The problem is they have a hard time hearing me with my mic up, and you don't have that. So I can get that, but they give me that. And then they won't see me, and I won't see them as much either. So right now, it's not too bad because I got these two screens are lined up. Y'all are lined up right here. So for me to instruct on both of those, that's doable. But yes, you get one or two more, and I have to stand up, and then it gets more, And this type of class, now some classes, I think it could work beautifully if you're just working problems, putting formulas on the board or something. Not my strong suit. This is a social science class, so it's interactive. In this class, there's really principles of management. I mean, there's some things that you'll learn, but very rarely will there be a wrong and right answer because it'll be your opinion on how you lead. That kind of thing. Now, test comes, don't get me wrong. You have to quiz. There's going to be a wrong or right answer. But it'll be pared down to something that we straight out of the book that you can see. The advantage, the way these classes work to me is the best way of doing them. The ones I enjoyed the most when I took them was the discussion parts. All right. I think we got enough to get started a little bit after. So we're going to do the normal, go around the room. You tell me about yourself. And then what I'm going to do is to tell you about me and go over the syllabus. And I'll take time we're done. We're probably an hour through it. And then we'll jump into the slides. So from a Zoom student, you start first.
Okay, my name is Danielle. This is my son, Gabe. He's 2 years old, and he has spaghetti on his face from dinner. We live in Conway. I'm married. My husband, he is in the military, and he's been in the military for 6 years. And I work at Conway Title, and he's telling about himself. And I should be graduating in December.
And what's your major?
Human Resources Management.
Good deal. Good class for that. And where'd you say you worked at?
Conway Title.
Conway Top. Yeah, I've used him before. And your husband, where does he do in the military? What branch?
He is in the National Guard,
Mhm.
and he drills out of Chaffee.
Out of Chaffee. Okay. What's his name again?
Matthew Waits.
Okay. I'm full-time active duty National Guardsman. So,
Okay.
okay. Well, good. Well, thank you. And now we'll go around the room and start with you.
I have been at CBC since 2012. I'm studying organization, trying to get a business degree in organization management. I am a telesupervisor at Centennial Bank. Been there since 2005, but I've been in banking since '99. I'm still with no children. And going back to school so I can just better myself and do something different than banking, hopefully.
Oh, good deal. I like organizational management. That's a hobby of mine. So, and in my job, that's what I work on and do. So we'll get some of those principles.
My name is English. I'm an organization manager. I'm only 21. I haven't been out of school. My first UCA to play soccer here.
Where do you work?
All departments. I'm basically an intern.
Mm-hmm.
I live in Bologna.
All right. You, sir?
Danny Lee. I major in psychology. Did 12 years active in the Marine Corps, 4 years Air Force, and then 4 years up here in Little Rock with the Guard. Basically retired. I work at Mayflower Police Department, lead animal control and the coach.
Hey, do you want to tell me?
Good deal. You, sir?
Comfort. I live in Little Rock. I work graduate in May. I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
Don't even have a full schedule this semester.
No, that's
The first
good.
time for that.
You can enjoy
I'm
it.
excited.
All right, good deal. All right, well, my turn. I'm Stephen Hall, be your instructor. I am married with 2 kids. We just had our 17th wedding anniversary in December. My wife's 40th birthday is the day after tomorrow. So I was off today and trying to buy birthday presents, and I'm not good at it. She handles everything else. I work full-time active duty here at the National Guard. This is a training center. I used to be the guy here, OIC here. Now I'm in cyber operations, internet security. So if you're on the internet, I can see it, see what you're doing. Just kidding. Actually, you come close to that. But I work over next door at the Professional Education Center, developing a schoolhouse to teach cyber operations over there. Pre-military folks, I'm a lieutenant colonel. Been doing this military thing since I was 17, so February will be 26 years for me in the military. So I'm getting close to wanting to retire. So, yeah, just keep going a little longer. I started teaching a little while back because it's my passion. Here is a schoolhouse. Again, this building we teach, and I do training. We teach infantry here and communications and stuff. Now I'm into another schoolhouse business of cyber operations. So I really like instructing and teaching. That's what I've done most of my career in the military. It's a little different, but I do enjoy it. My daughter is 14. It's a 14-year-old drama stuff for her. And then I've got a 11-year-old son. They're polar opposites, but great kids. See what else? Okay, that's enough about me. Unless there are any more questions about it. I talk a lot, so shut me up if you got something to say. Just jump in anytime. As far as management goes, this is a principles of management. We'll get into that. We'll hit those principles. If we want to lead into leadership and a manager and that kind of stuff, let me know. Again, I've got a lot of classes in that. My education, political science, UCA, and then management leadership masters from Western University. For the military, a host of those schools, but my last one was Command and General Staff College. That's the military's equivalent of a master's degree. Leadership roles has been my thing. Studying how to get people to do what you want them to do efficiently and motivate them has been a hobby, I would say, and a career of mine. But I try to make that craft better. So in this class, that's what I will try to get across. So if we go over from a principle into how to apply it, awesome, if y'all want to know that. If not, and we just talk about that because that's the testable material, we'll get all that out too. Should be pretty interesting class for those things. It was last semester and semester before. It really, had some good questions and discussions about management and that kind of stuff. When it comes to that, feel free to say anything. It's not a wrong answer in this. And anything that I tell you other than definitions out of the book, trust me, will be an opinion. And I'll let you know, hey, this is Stephen Hall's opinion on how you should do or how I would do this based on experience, but there is no golden bullet when it comes to leadership, right? Every situation is completely different. So our goal for the class is to, whatever career that you're in or whatever you got, take that where you're at, evaluate yourself to see where you're at, see how you see yourself, see how other people see you, and then see how you can apply things that we have learned to get a better outcome. That's the goal of the class, is to just become a little bit better at what we're doing. Now, y'all have particular goals of passing the class and graduating. I got that. We can certainly do that. We're going to do that. And we can have a class of that manner. That's perfectly fine with me. But while you're here, we got about 3 or 4 hours every night, 5 weeks. It would be cool, I think, if we all learned something. The reason I have a passion for teaching is because I love to learn. I've yet to teach a class that I haven't learned something. Now, I doubt we're going to find something in that book that I don't know, or that I couldn't look up very quickly because that's a book. But I always learn from people other things. And I think that helps me in my career, helps me in my family, helps me in my relationships and stuff and everything. So to me, it's a self-centered reason to teach as well, because it helps me grow as a person as well. So I would like to do that in this class with everybody to continue to better ourselves, at least in the context of this. So I will definitely probably learn something as well. Okay, let's do the boring part and go over the syllabus. So here we are on the syllabus. We know we meet. I've mentioned we have Zoom students. If y'all want to miss class, you certainly can. What you'll do to miss class is just let me know. That way, if all four of you are not going to be here, it'll save me from staying late at work and coming over here. Probably won't ever happen that way, but if you are, you can Zoom in. You can see the lecture afterwards if I get it downloaded correctly and you want to go that route. And then what you'll do is on the form is utilize the discussion question for your participation points. That's how you do it. For the online students, you just do the discussion on there. You see the dates of the class. We're here. Says room 4 Alpha. We're in 11 Bravo. Doesn't matter. Everybody familiar with Camp Robinson? I know you've never been here before. Okay, this building right now currently has active duty soldiers living in it. So you'll see them running around doing things. They should be in bed here very soon and not doing anything. But you'll see them, you'll know that. There's 2 other classes going on in the building. The restrooms are right out this door. Males are right here, right next to the female. There's 2 separate break rooms with Coke machines and such in there. Feel free to use them. As far as breaks go, I'll try to take one on the hour or hour and a half, but y'all tell me. If you need to go, you can get up and go. If everybody's going to go, I'll make a break or just say I need a break. I don't want to miss anything. If you need to take a phone call or do something else, we're all adults here. We certainly understand that. Just go do that outside, you know. That's perfectly fine. We're going to be as informal as we can to keep it comfortable that way, because I understand y'all got a lot of things going on. We'll just drive on. If you miss something, just come back and ask me, or catch up at dinner break will not be a problem. I'm pretty informal. My name, you can call me Stephen, call me Mr. Hall. Most people end up doing that. I don't mind either way, however you want to do it. The people say Dr. Hall. I do not have a doctorate. I ain't gonna say, I'm not gonna offend you if you call me Dr. Hall. However, my wife graduates from UCA in April with her doctorate, so I will have a Dr. Hall. A doctorate in nursing. Did you know they had those? A doctorate nurse. Go figure. But anyway, so whatever y'all want to call me is perfectly fine. My cell phone number is on there. I transitioned jobs. I kept my old cell phone. This is my new personal cell phone. So I'll make sure I carry it and look at it and make sure I'm not missing any calls on it. Still got my work on it. Took my old work one back yet. But anyway, call me anytime. Text me if you want to. My email is on there. The way to get me is that email, because I'm still carrying a BlackBerry that comes all the time. Text or call. I will get back with you. Should be. If I don't get back with you and it's not an emergency, within 24 hours, hit me up again. If you really want to know an answer, you can get back with me in 3 or 4 hours. You're not going to bug me. I answer somewhere for my regular job around 150 to 250 emails a day. So that is not an issue. I'm also a pretty much on-call guy. So I'm used to calls late at night, and my family's, my entire life, you know, they understand that things come. So the class will be no different. If you need me, you can call if it's late. If I don't answer, I'll get back with you soon. Just leave a message. And some people like to text, some like a phone call, some like to email. You can do either of the 3. I'll get back with you. You can use the web study email. When you get on web study, you should notice now everything that you do in this class that you turn in for a grade, you should get a comment from me. The only way you're not going to get a comment from me on it is about your work is if you're late. And then the comment will be you're late. And then we'll get into that, how much that cost you, and I'll put the score on it. But I'm not going to be able to go back and catch up and read I'll read it, but I try to give good feedback up and down of good, bad, and indifferent what you did. So you should read those comment blocks. Everybody familiar with web study know how to do that? Not just ask me for it, I'll show you, because I'm gonna hit the comment and I'm gonna say, hey, good job, bad job, whatever. Put your grade there, explain. So if you get points deducted, it'll tell you why and that kind of thing. If you're on target, you're on target. But anyway, that'll be in there. So any questions, you know, you do that. The first quiz that you're going to take is a knowledge-based quiz. It's easy. It's going to be stuff straight out of the book. Okay? Then we're going to ramp it up to the second, third, fourth, and fifth. Now, they're going to be application-based as we go forward. Last semester, that created some issues. Junior level course, man, this is hard. I missed a bunch of questions. And some people had some really good questions about this. I showed them where they missed it. Here's the problem. You read the book, you see the keyword, right? And then you answer very quickly. You can do that on that first one probably. Hey, application-based, you need to read it, think about it, and then apply it. Remember I said I want us to be able to apply the stuff. That's really where I'm getting at. So be cautious, second, third, fourth quiz. Do not. See, because I looked in and I noticed like everybody missing this one particular question. And what it was is the keyword that was there came first. But if you read further, there was a sub-component of that you would have understood. Did you hit it on the big end? Yeah, but it's not what I was getting at the question. You weren't applying your knowledge. Does that make sense? So I want to go to application-based. First one, we're going to get it out of the way and go with it. It's knowledge-based. What's the definition of this kind of thing on that quiz? And then we'll work our way up. Now, don't freak out because the first test is straight out of the book website, and it matches because I built it in web study, so it's got A, B, or C. Pick A. Web study has it has that logic that it reads your answer. When we get to the application base, these are questions I made up. So if you put an S on it, when I didn't put an S in there, it counts it wrong. Or if you misspell the word, it counts it wrong. Or if it's two answers, two parts of them are, and you get them out of order, but you got both of them in there, it counts them wrong. Don't worry about that. If you know it's the right answer, after the test, everybody's like, oh, look at it, and I give you your points back. I have no good way of fixing it. I mean, every time I do it, I'll fix something, and then somebody will put something there that the logic doesn't see. Does that make sense? So don't worry. I'm going to look at every test, at every question. And the other cool thing about using the web study and why they want to use it when they can audit me and see all this going right and see what I'm doing. Number two is it does a great job, way better than the book website, of telling me how many missed what and how long you were on that question, how long you took the test. So I can gauge and see what I missed. Last semester, I had to throw out of 5 quizzes, only 2 different questions because everybody missed them, and they were putting relatively, 70 or 80% of the class missed it, and of that, 80% of those people put the exact same answer. That tells me I did not explain that well enough, so I threw those out. But I only had to throw out 2, so that's pretty good. I think I got those fixed. So I reworded those questions, and then I'll make sure that and then I hit them the next class too, during review, so that way we don't miss anything. So it's completely interactive. I don't have too many students where I can't do that. This is the only class I teach for CBC, so 25 students, that's not too hard. So we'll do it that way. Okay? Any questions on testing, that kind of stuff? Oh, hey, we have a new one in. How you doing? Is this Teresa? Maybe she don't have. I'll get you on chat. Put it on the chat. Okay. Well, let's see what else is on the syllabus. All right, I know the course description, right? Read that. Everybody got the 8th edition? Good. There's newer editions. Here's your course objectives. Let's go over that. Here's the chapters that we're going over. The assignments will be, I'll put them up like tomorrow. I'll put up next week's assignments and stuff. And the due dates. Follow those. If you're late on something, I'm going to let you know. And then we'll go from there. Unfortunately, it's weird. Junior level class last semester had 3 different people lose an entire letter grade due to lateness. So when they see where they would have made B, where they would have made it, purpose that it counted. However, they were that late. Don't do that. Straight through your book in pretty much order. I went over the quizzes, discussion board, class participation. I went over that, right? If you're online or in this class, get on the discussion boards and read those. There's 4 people when I got here that's already answered those. I'll go home tonight, answer those late. Then that's usually what I do. My battle rhythm is at night, come home from work, visit with the family, eat, do that thing. watch TV, and sometime after Jimmy Fallon, I will get on and start answering discussion questions and grading stuff. So if you do something that day, you'll probably that evening get an answer on it. Exam. All right, here's a cool one. Paper. It can be in form of term paper. If you look at the points on it, it's a significant part of your grade. Okay. The way this thing's going to work, you're going to turn in, and I'm going to do a little bit different than last time. But after tonight, this week, what to do is you're going to give me your topic. I'm going to help you with that. I'll get to that in a minute. And then you're going to turn in the outline. I'm going to make sure you're on target with your outline and help you. That's graded for points. Should be easy. Should be an easy 100 points for you. And then you're going to create a paper. And then in-class students, well, all students, after that, will do a PowerPoint with it. It's graded point-wise. In-class students, last class, pretty much all we're going to do, unless y'all need some help and stuff for you to present. You're going to stand up and sit here and do it. You're going to present in front of people. Some people nervous. I understand that. Junior level course again, it's principles of management. Public speaking is nothing more than just practice, like shooting or running. The more you do it, the better you're at each month. Okay? It's easier in a smaller group. And what I'm going to do for you is not going to grade you and say, ooh, you got a bad grade because you presented terrible. I happen to be a presenter by trade in the military. So I'm going to give you what I'll critique you and help you with it. I just want you to get comfortable with it. But you will turn in a paper. Anybody here familiar? Is everybody here familiar with APA format? Okay, good. Last guy said, no. I got a link in my website. Go look it up and do it. APA format. I am not an APA Nazi. That's like my wife that grades papers for a living is. However, it makes papers flow easily and professionally. If you write professionally and be able to articulate what you are saying, you follow the APA format. That's the reason we use it. Not just so I can say, you worksheet right. If you've got 3 spaces off, try to get that right. On your line or distance between there, you'll probably get a comment saying that's there, but I will not deduct a point for that. But if you do not cite your work, you will probably fail the whole paper, and therefore probably fail the class. Anything you do, you must cite, right? I'm sure. If you're familiar with Turnitin. CBC, I haven't had any problems yet. See, there's a program. It is so neat. Yeah, I can turn it in. Y'all can use it yourself. You can Google it, put it in there. But if I put it and turn it in, it'll tell me how much original your paper is. Some classes set a certain percentage you've got to meet. I do not do that. If you're at 40%, and I think I've heard all this stuff before, and I've read a lot of management stuff. Turning in verifies that within where it came from. Scrutinize your paper to see if you copied it. Because right now you can Google principles of management. I need a paper for it, and hey, there you go. It'll give you the paper, probably with the topic that I'm going to talk about, and it'll break it down for you, and you can turn that in. So I'm turn it in is going to let me see that, so don't do that. Now, I ain't had a problem with CDC. You'll be amazed at some people at different levels in their career will do that. They'll do that. Certainly don't be that one. The other guy, there'll be a guy will pop up in there and he'll tell you, I'll write your paper for you. And I swear I can tell if it's, and I have that program. So, but don't have anybody, don't pay it, don't waste your money. Because what they're going to do, when I don't care about you, they're just going to turn around and Google it and put something on stuff and catch it. Plus, you're not going to learn anything. All right? So don't do that. I don't think any of y'all would. Never had a problem at CBC, so that's great, but I'm going to throw that out there. Okay? So I have the ability to check and see that. I doubt you'll get over on it. If you did get over on it, you didn't get over on me. You just cheated yourself. Now, you might possibly get around my grading and my Turnitin, but I doubt it. So that's the paper. After tonight, I will load the rubric for the paper. But here's how it's going to work. You're going to pick a major company, okay? And it can be small to huge. Walmart all the way down to something that you know, Ace Lumber and Mayflower. And you got to find enough material for them, though. And you're going to tell me you're going to do a business analysis of it based off of things that you learn in the book. What styles of leadership they use, how they are, and the rubric will say this. So basically your outline, when I put the rubric up, we'll have about 5 things. And And then that's how your outline should look. Because it's going, I'm going to ask you, I'm going to say, discuss this, discuss this, discuss this.
Turn back on.
Right? Does that make sense? So when you see that, then you go and you Google and you find that out. You turn in your company and then you turn in an outline. And turning it into, I want you to turn in what your company you had. So I'm going to Google it real quick myself and make sure you got enough information. But that's not a graded event. So if you get nothing back on it, don't worry. You're good to go. If you get something back, I'll call you or email you and say, there's not enough on ACE, or number one. ACE would be plenty. I don't know if number one has a website. But you have to do it. Yeah, I don't know if you've been. Of course, you can run up there and get the information from them. It's how you can do it by interview. You can do it by website and stuff. The main thing is, so like if you catch somebody that works at Blue Cross Blue Shield and they're not the VP of operations, they just happen to work there and you interview them, and some of the stuff they tell you is not exactly how the company works. I'm not worried about that. What they tell you, how they run their business, apply that to the book, analyze, is that good in your mind or not? Does that make sense? So if Walmart tells you that we do supply chain management this way, and you analyze that, you say, I think it's terrible the way they do it. I'm going to disagree with you because they actually have a better supply chain management system than anybody. They took it from the military, but they do better than the military at it. But I'm not going to dock you for doing that as long as you cite your book and say, here's why I think because of the Fayos principle, they did this wrong. Does that make sense? So you're not going to be wrong in your opinion of that company, but you got to do your research and you got to apply it. It's application based. Anywhere from 4 to 5 pages, not including your reference sheet and not including your title page and that stuff of body work. I'm gonna give you about 5 things I'm gonna ask questions about. You can go more in depth or not. That each one of those about 5 pages, about a page a piece, roughly. You can turn in 10 pages. I won't give you any more credit for it. You're just gonna make me read more. You should be able to cover the topic. Okay, everybody good with that? Makes sense. All right. As you go forward, you'll go, oh, that didn't make sense. Call me, email me, text me. I'll walk you through it. What I want is a professional product that we would be proud to present at the executive level to a company. Okay, that's what I want. I want a paper that in 5 years you say that you can go back and you can read that and go, hey, I got this principle. I know this. You see what I'm saying? Something to be. So I'm far more worried about that. So I'll work with you all the way through it. So there's no way you should fail. Now, you can not talk to me at all about it and just risk it and throw it all in at one time. That's fine too. Some people did that last class. Some of them, it turned out very well for them because they really got a good paper and they got it. I'm good with that. Some of them not so much because they could have really, they got a C where they could have easily got an A, but had I seen that earlier, I could have helped them. Or if they'd asked a simple question. Does that make sense? Okay. So here's an example. I'm not proud of this one. It was by pure luck. But a little while back, doing my master's thesis, I wrote a topic of military bases not being secure, but the public thinks they're secure. And that there's a reason that they're not secure and we don't carry guns. And then I proposed that, one, the public's going to be shocked when something really bad happens. And bad things had already happened, just no one was worried about it. But the media is going to catch on to this. The media is going to catch on to this. And they're going to throw a fit and say, why aren't military people armed? Right? Because you would think we are. And the government is not going to be prepared, and then they're going to have to take drastic measures. And then I gave her 3 good proposals where I thought good measures. Shortly after that, sometime after that, the thing in Tennessee happened with the recruiters that got shot that wasn't armed. It hit me. They're talking about it, and they're all over the news, and they're hitting my paper. So I go back and I'm finding my paper, looking for it, asking my wife, where'd I put that paper? And I found it and read it again, and I was like, this is awesome. This is a piece of work that was contemporary at the time. And I remember my professor at the time, he says to me, I don't know if there's enough information on that. I said, well, actually, military posts has all kinds of information. I happen to have some secret briefs that I was getting on some other things about threats and stuff and what I do. So I was able to block out some of that information and use that. So I already knew that we had some real threats coming to us. And sure enough, we get hit. So it wasn't a huge surprise. The surprise was to the public that we weren't armed. So I was very proud of that piece of paper afterwards. Before it was just a grade. But now, I'm not a genius. I didn't predict anything at all. I had just already said some things about that. So I say that to say this. Some of my other papers that I wrote in my undergraduate and stuff, I wrote to get a grade. In my master's, I wrote because I was passionate about pick the subject that I like. And boy, is it neat when they come back and you see it in the news. That is the goal for your paper. Produce a product that you will be able to, you know, and maybe that never comes up again, but it's something you're passionate about, you know about it, and you apply it that way. Meanwhile, though, don't just write me a bunch of emotion. Show me that you learned something from the book. And if you already know it from the book, still quote the book, right? So you got to show me in there. So, but that's a long way around to tell you that that's how I see the paper. I'm a touchy-feely guy. I'd rather it all mean something and all of that. So that's the paper. Any questions on it? Good deal. And it's like 300 points or something. It's big. So your assignments are worth 200 points. You'll get those, do those. You can answer those in about 2 or 3 sentences, and you'll the first time I'll say, hey, give me more detail. The next time I'll start taking off. You should be about a paragraph per on those. Discussions, participation, I went over that. Quizzes is 400 points. There's going to be those quizzes out there where you divide that by 5, whatever that comes up to be. You'll take online. Outline of papers, 50 points. Papers, 200. It's 300 total. And your PowerPoint's 50. So you got 100 points put in there. It should just be a given. Has everybody used PowerPoint before? If not a big deal. You can go in there and type it and stuff. That's something, though, if you're ever going to present. So I want you to just kind of get familiar with it. And then your paper's worth 200. Oh, and the rubric, then I'll tell you the breakdown. How much your syntax and grammar and all that's worth. 20, 30 points of that. Body's worth this much. And then you see the other people. So you kind of see where you're going. So if you completely mess up APA, you're not going to flunk the paper if everything else is good. But try to work with it. You got questions, let me know. I have access to an expert. Also, if you're computer literate, you can get on a Word or some of those things. It'll put everything put there in APA format for you. Caution you on that. You can do that with me. That'll work. You get to your master's level and stuff, it misses certain things. They get some technical things with abstracts and stuff. You can use that, but the instructors are waiting to pounce on that one. Here's fine. I don't care. I want to be able to read it easy. So I make you do that. Plus, you need to be familiar. If you ever want to write professionally or want to communicate professionally, you use that. And I try to write APA. I try to keep it that way. That might be off a little bit, but it goes to flows quicker, easier, smoother for everybody. You ever read some of the things that says good things, but it's really difficult to read and get lost in it? APA helps with that. Then here's your grades, grading scale. Your points, just 1,000 points. That makes it real easy. You need 900 points to get an A. You ever been on that grading scale where like a 94 is a B? Yeah, my master's was like that. Man, it made me mad. Or it was an A minus or something. I made 1 A minus. It started off, I had to call them. I was like, why I got A minus? You made 95. No, it's A. They referred me back to the syllabus. That gummit. Only thing kept me was my first class and my master's kept me getting 4 points, 3,999 because of an A minus. It made me mad. So this class is not my call. This is CDC doing, but I would have done it that way. Policies, internet software, web study. Everybody familiar with web study, right? How to use that. If you have a problem, it happens invariably every semester. Somebody's gonna be in the middle of a test. It'll cut off on you. Here's how you get around that. It cuts off on you, and you got a bad grade, and a day later you call and you tell me, well, they're suspect on that one. I can go back and see how long you were on there, and I can see what questions you answered and figure it out. But it's your test, so send me an email or a text or a phone call with a message as soon as it happens. If I'm not there immediately, that's fine. I'll get you back on and I'll reset your test for you. Call me a day or two later, I get, because you can see as you go what you're missing and making right, and maybe, so do that for me. So if you get cut off, not a big deal. If you have a problem turning something in, I'll be saying, hey, because I'm going to remind you, hey, where's your stuff at? Call me, let me know if there's any technical difficulties. We talked about the online discussion forums. Attendance, you have to make every class. There's only 5 of them. We will not get to everything in this book. This is a semester-long book. I'll hit the highlights. It won't be all inclusive. If you have to miss, just do the discussion question on the forum. All right. This is a big one. I added this from last semester. Last semester, I didn't put this in here, but that's because people took a test and they didn't read the book. They read the book when they took the test. You got to read the chapter before you take the test to have a full understanding. Otherwise, you won't know. You'll just go off the keyword. When I say about application, if you read it, it sinks in, put it down, wait an hour or two, then hit the highlight for the words, then take the test. Yes, pull your book out, take it with it. I fully expect in the real world you're going to have access to information. The difference is everybody got access to information today. The difference in an executive today is being able to apply that. You get to the right information quickly and correctly, right? So it's nothing like on TV where you see the hero, they always, some guy finds him all the answers real quick. You have to be a genius to do that anyway because you got to be able to apply it the right way. I want you to apply the book, so you have to read the chapters. The key to success, the difference between a C and a B or a B and an A for you is going to be reading the chapters. And I'm going to design the questions where you need to read the chapters first. Otherwise, no, they're not trick questions. It's just the way it comes out. You're gonna see a definition and you'll kind of wonder which one it is. And you're going to be on time test. So if you have a good understanding of it, it won't be a problem for you. So do the test that way. Tests will progressively go to more application versus knowledge based. No plagiarism. Cite yourself. Don't have your buddy taking the test with you, and don't call your buddy after you took the test and say it was this one. We know that. Don't do that. All disclosure, I don't know if I would catch that. Just don't do it. If we did, the penalties are severe in the college realm, right? You get kicked out and stuff. All right, in class, you only use it, the passwords, stuff you use it, you know. I had a techie guy last class, and he had the thing up all the time. He was always looking at it. It's cool. By all means, I took his notes and everything. Not good. All the other policy procedures come, credit hour justification, studies how we can give you, we're cramming it into you. Email me, honor code, and disabilities. Harassment. We do not tolerate harassment in any certain way. So if you get harassed in any way, let me know. If I'm class bother you, tell me. If I'm the one harassing you, bothering me, tell my boss, Chad Lynn, or anybody at CDC, and they'll fire me. But I won't do that. If you want to draw from the course, here's the rules to that. I can't help with any of that. If you need to know that, and you can call me and I'll go to college for you and kind of work on your behalf. But honestly, they handle that at CDC. I go there rarely. Overturned policy, W's, that kind of thing. Same stuff applies. At the end of the class, there will be a survey. You need to get honest feedback as to what you think of the class. Make it better, make me better. All right, late work assignments submitted after due date. Let me drop y'all down here. A reduction of 5% for each day it's late. After 5 days, it'll be counted as a 0. Okay. Everything's timestamped when you turn it in. So if you turn it in like on day 6, you got a 0. Don't do that. Some people missed. One guy actually said 2 of them that turned it in late, cost them grade. One guy missed the entire test. Otherwise, would have had an A. 0 does not factor in very well. So it dropped him all the way down. It dropped him to a C. Anyway. Don't do that. Take it. You know, work with me. I'll work with you. All right, and then this is that catch-all. I have the right to change the syllabus anytime I want to. I love that one. That's my lawyer speak. I don't think I'm gonna change it. I think we'll stay where we're at. All right, that's the syllabus. Anybody any questions, problems, concerns? That's the part I don't like having to go over. Okay, so this is web study. You're all familiar with it, right? You see what I got visible to you right now is week 1. After tonight, tomorrow sometime, we will have week 2 up. It'll be open and ready to go. Now we get to the slides. There we go. Okay, first question. We'll get into the slides, and I'll go around the room, and I'll start with my Zoom students. Leaders, made or born?
I think it's kind of both. They could be made, or some people are just born leaders.
Okay. Some are, some are born, some are made, is what you're saying?
Hmm. I mean, some people just have a natural leadership ability, and then other people have to work, through the process on what to do, what not to do.
Okay. You think they're made? You got a reason for that?
According to my leadership class, there is no born leader. So they're pretty much made. But there's no born leaders.
Yeah. That leadership class got me last class. Some people who took the leadership class and did that one. I'm gonna get with Chad and and say, Chad, let me teach you a leadership class, brother. Because everybody likes a good class. I would do it better. I'm saying I would do it interesting. What do you think?
I think even if they're born into the environment that way, they're around a lot of leaders or they have a natural ability, it's still brought up that.
Okay.
I'm gonna say maybe, you have to learn the skills from somewhere. I mean, me as a young troop learning from my sergeant, my lieutenant, by the time I got there, I had skills, I had to learn them somewhere myself.
Mhm.
And be able to use what I learned from them. So nobody's born into anything. It's not a promise that, he lived a life, all his family was general. That's not gonna mean he's gonna be, but he taught skills and learned how to apply those skills that he learned from them.
You?
I personally think both. Certainly people are definitely made into leaders, but many times when we're talking about older adults, they're made into somebody, but you can take a look at 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds that are playing, and you're still going to have somebody take the lead. They didn't go to school to learn that. It was just something that they did. Just kind of took charge and went with it.
That's true too. What about Teresa? Can you hear me on that, Teresa?
I can. I think that it's probably born in you, but I believe that you can be taught and it can be brought out in you also.
Okay. Good one. All right, and last one more question, then I'll give y'all my thoughts on it. I have thought about everything. So, what's the difference between a manager and a leader? And is one better than the other? Start from the top on my Zoom, Danielle. Sorry.
Well, I think that a leader shows natural leadership skills. So they're the people who are standing up, who are helping people. Some managers don't necessarily help. They just instruct and tell people what to do, what not to do, where a leader will stand next to them and work with them.
Good point. Teresa?
And yeah, the managers are kind of in the background and point and direct, and leaders actually lead the people and help with the day-to-day aspects and actually run the show.
Good call.
A leader. A leader is a person that thinks they just naturally know how to lead a person with wisdom, where a manager just pretty much just try to get things done according to the way the organization want it done.
Okay.
I agree with her. A leader is more of like kind of like the big picture, I guess. And they want to better whoever they're leading the company, whoever they're leading, and the manager wants to also like better whoever they're managing, but wants to get things done. So, more like
I think a leader knows how to use wisdom on how to get it done, whereas a manager most likely would like to take their authority they have to throw it at you. Just depends on what kind of manager you're dealing with. You got a manager that don't have leadership skills, then they to just, I have power over you and I have authority over you, and you're gonna do it this way. Whereas the leader's gonna be skillful on how to get that done. That's
Well, I look at it as a manager, as a person, they basically have their game plan. They know how their organization works, how efficient they're gonna be able to run things. They set out a plan for it. They use your leader to carry out all those tasks and complete the tasks they originally have. And they just basically manage that from there. That's how I see it.
One of the first things I think about is that a leader may be more somebody that the other people would want to follow, and a mentor is just somebody that's in charge, wanting to accomplish certain goals. You know, they can certainly have aspects of the others, but leader would be people want to follow that, and the manager's just wanting to choose.
Good point. All good answers. They're hitting all around some of the things we're going to talk about. Again, there's absolutely no wrong answers in how you see it. My take is, number one, it depends on the task. If you're a manager or a leader, 90% of what I do, I manage. Sometimes it requires me to lead, depending on the task. So a lot of things we just do. Anybody can manage it. Some people are better at managing others. Some are better at leading than others. But certain tasks, examples would be, the normal routine stuff. You got to manage that. That stuff has to be done. And sometimes, say, new way of doing business, a new direction for your company comes about, that would require more of a leadership thing to lead people into doing something different, right? So if you're changing what you normally do, and I think what we'll talk about for most of the class is you are respective leaders or leaders now, you'll find that you do both. Here's a trick to try to learn is when do I lead and then when do I manage? We've all been in the situation when we need a leader and we had a manager, right? At some point. You might have been the one that done that, but you probably experienced that. It's like, well, I wish I'd just make a decision, right? And we've all been in the position too. We hate this. I call it the Barney Fife syndrome. When the guy wants to lead and we just really need to be managed. You start at your job and you know exactly what to do and how to do it. Someone's got to check up on you, but they're trying to motivate you to do what you ordinarily want to do. You know what I'm talking about? You ever watch Andy Griffith? Huge fan of that. Barney's key for that, right? He comes in to normal routine situations and he wants to lead. The reality is it's normal management deal, right? So you'll kind of, as a leader, manager, whatever you want to call it, supervisor, as an employee, right? However you want to qualify yourself, there will be times to do one or the other. A trick is to figure out which is time needed. Book won't tell you that. Book won't teach you how to do that because it can't. Each situation will dictate as to what you need to do. Does that make sense? So with that said, my personal opinion is, and I try for it not to be because my job is to teach. My job is to grow leaders. But after doing it for as long as I have, I keep going back to they're born. Some people are just not going to lead. Now, I hope that's not the case because I have to shut this computer and leave. Why am I here teaching if I can't teach it? You know what I'm saying? I think once we define between the two, figure it out. Anybody can manage. I take that back. Anybody can learn to manage, and anybody can lead because you're going to lead whether you want to or not. Right? That's the other part we didn't really get into. If you're a parent, you're leading your children. Unfortunately, some people do not understand that they're leading their children. Right? They're doing bad things. If you're an adult and you see a kid, period, you're not a parent. You're probably a leader to them. I know you've experienced that. When you put that uniform on, that's what you are, whether you like it or not, right? Everything else. But they look for you at times. Now, sometimes they need a counselor. Sometimes they just want you to manage things. Hey, our stoplight there in Mayflower's out. Get out there and direct traffic. They just want you to manage. You don't need to lead them. Just manage that for them. But when bad guys shows up at their house, they want leadership on them. So it just depends. You got to kind of figure out and make a conscious thought before you engage into an action as to what am I about to do. Now, you're probably not going to be that guy that pulls out the checklist and be that nerd and goes, I'm not going to lead or manage. Maybe at first you will. I certainly, as a lieutenant, have my little clipboard, my notebook. What should I do next? You want to hopefully gather a feel for that. And I tell you, I still miss it because, you know, an example is the other day, I told you about my 14-year-old daughter, drama. So my wife, the one day, this is how it happened. She works at UCA. She can come home most of the time in Conway. We live in Maumelle, but we split difference. And she calls me and she's like, "Our daughter, Katie Lee," her name's Katie Lee. Katie Lee is so upset before she went to school. Wants me to come get her. Don't know what's wrong. And she had turned the phone on with the class. And my wife can't get out of her. She can't leave. She's fixing the lecture. So she says, "Can you?" "Don't worry. I'll leave work." And I just started to the new place. I'm going to tell the new guy, say, "I'm leaving, go get my daughter. And I'll be back." She's 14. She stayed on by herself. She's probably just upset about something. She's 14. But she's my baby girl. So I speed there like I'm having to save her life. You know, I find myself, "What am I doing, lady?" She'll be okay. But I get there and I tell them I need to get my daughter. And she comes out. She's got that poopy look, you know, on her face. And she don't say anything to people when we walk out. She don't really want to talk to me. She really wants to talk to my wife. This is the girl stuff she needs to talk about. So I hand her the phone, and my wife's wearing me out. So I get them talking, and I overhear. So-and-so she sat beside with a friend, didn't say something left without this. This happened. She lost her ID. It all just piled on her. I want to leave, right? "I'll go get your ID now. Who's the girl? I'll talk to him. You know, I'll fix it." She don't want any of that. She needs to be managed at this point. It's actually mama, period. You see what I'm saying? So after about a couple minutes, it hit me. Daughter who just thinks I'm the greatest thing is not responding very well. I got it. She don't need me to go get that ID. We can get that tomorrow. She probably wants a Dr. Pepper or something on the side. So then we go to that route. And I get her home, and I call my mother and say, "Hey, she's having a bad day. She's not sick. She's just having a bad day. She's in school today. Come hang out with her if you got time for us." I'm always doing that. Manage versus leave. But I tried right off the bat because sometimes you just want to leave because you get fired up about something. The more passionate you are about something, the more you want to do that. I do that at work all the time too. Guys have to tell me, "Hey, boss, chill out." I tell them, tell me that on the front end. We don't need you to lead this one. We'll let you know. Because sometimes, and me wanting to be a leader, most of the time you just don't get to do enough. Like playing a football game or anything else, you know, be the quarterback or something. Some people are opposite of that. They never want to lead. And that's bad too. Neither one is, and we'll get into the types of personalities, neither one's better or worse than the other. How you are, right? Natural want to lead and not natural want to lead. One is not better than the other. They're just different. You just need to understand yourself. If you're the person that jumps in all the time, realize that's not always needed, especially when you don't get the response you want. Was I leading when I should have managed? Or if you're the person that manages and never wants to be that person out there, am I managing and I need to lead? Because sometimes, because that's my wife, she is a great manager, being a nurse by trade, she manages 50 things at one time, and then she comes home, and sometimes my daughter just needs someone to lead. This is going to be all right, this is what we're going to do. Or my son or somebody, you know. So sometimes she manages when she should have been leading. Or she'll just wait till I get home and tell me to lead. That's okay, you know, because I certainly wait till she gets home to manage the dishes and stuff like that, which is not good. Like, "Here, you want a minute now?" Anyway, try to know yourself. Think about that, though, as you go through work and other things. What am I doing? Am I managing or am I leading? Should I be doing one or the other at this point? Routine task, whatever. And sometimes you got to lead routine tasks. Just kind of figure it out. Just think about that. Does that make sense? Let me find my limit button. There we go. All right. So what is management? Anybody jump in here? Yeah, this manage. All right. Here's a person responsible for supervising the use of an organization's resources to meet its goals. Here's the key to this right here. Utilization of resources. And then that last part's really cool, to meet its goals, because sometimes we utilize resources, right? It's not meeting our goal. You ever see a guy take the credit card and not do what he's supposed to do with it? But that's a resource. If your company owns it, it's a resource. If you got it, people are resources, stuff is resources, right? So this is where management becomes very important, because a lot of times we talk about, especially like in the leadership class and stuff, you know, and we try to hierarchy, leaders here, managers here, especially in the military. I want to be a leader. We used to wear green tabs up under our rank, denoted a leader. We're all leaders, we think, in the military, but I mean, that means you're a squad leader, a platoon sergeant. You actually had a combat unit under you that you actually led. We put green tabs under there. And then they said, no, take that mess off. Because the Army got smart. It took us a long time to get smart, but you need to, we're saying managers are less by doing that. Because everybody then was fighting to get that green tab on. We called it a green tabber and get to be that particular leader. And then we forgot about managing stuff. And that's how the Army does dumb things. We're all out there trying to lead, and we need to be managing. Here's an example. Resources, okay? You're managing an office, and you get new computers in. You got 32 people that you manage the office for, or have a bank, and you get 3 new computers or 4, right? The new shiny one. Now, whether you want the thing or not, if you're not the right manager, let me tell you, it causes a problem, right? Depending on who you give them for, too, right? Even though everybody's going to get them, but it might be 2 weeks later or a month later. That's a company resource. You got to get that resource. Now, is it a better box, a better computer, and a certain person needs it now? Or does it not matter, but I got to give it to you? See what I'm saying? That's management, not leading. You're not out front leading. But if you do that wrong, it can cripple you needlessly, right? Now you got all kinds of office drama and everything else. Does that make sense? So management is just as important as leading. It's just knowing when you need to do both. So a good leader can say, no, I don't have to lead on this. I don't have to go out front and say, I'm going to give this. But you need to know where to give that computer, right? It's a resource. And it might be because certain people need it because of their skill set or whatever. It might just be because it's equal across the board, or any resource. I've watched grown men in the Army fight over the silliest things, like who got what. I don't have it today, but we got the other day, that was a year ago, status symbol. We got iPads for the leaders in this organization, certain leaders, key leaders. Now, all of us think we're key leaders in this organization. iPad was cool because it had unlimited data, which means on the deer stand, my son can watch Phineas and Ferb, right? Because you can use whatever you want. And it had my email and everything else on it. This is cool because we got secure email, but they were able to work out a deal with Apple. It's all paid for. And I got my email, do everything I want on this thing. It's pretty cool. You read my CAC card, my Common Access card, where I can do all my work on it. It's an awesome deal. They only got like 16 of these things. At that particular time, I'm a recently promoted lieutenant colonel. I was a major, but I was doing a lieutenant colonel's job. I'm in a key leadership position. There's other lieutenant colonels that are not. Just waiting on my promotion. My position, not me, was considered a key leader. So I got the iPad. I noticed the first meeting I went to, I didn't have it. Everybody else had it. They pulled it out. But the haves and have not. 32 people in this meeting. People in there pulls it out. Everybody's kind of envious, you know. Wow, look at this. And they're arguing who got one. I'm thinking, everyone back in the office. Next meeting I come. So, and I didn't think about it. I just wanted to be like everybody else. Everybody else outranks me, but I'm in that key leader position. I'll pull it out. You could have seen some people. A grown man is led in combat or sitting there mad because I got it on my pad and they didn't. Now they don't, resources, but they didn't stop and think about the position. Now me being me and the way we are, I just rubbed it in. It's like, guys, but I've seen those resources throughout my career create issues. Not just because it creates issues about jealousy. The other part I mentioned to me is goals, the last part of that. Company's going to have goals. Whoever you work for, they have goals. Go figure out what their goals are. Ask what they are. Look at those goals. Write those goals down. Commit them to memory and make sure what you're doing that day is to support that goal. Especially if you're in a management leadership position, you got to make a decision. Hit your first gut feeling. Write down what you would have done if you got time. And then go and look at the goals and then figure out what I need to do to support those goals. A lot of times it's different, right? But then you'll look like a pretty wise manager or a wise leader if you're supporting the goals. Maybe not to the people to your left and right or the people below you, but to your bosses, you certainly will. You want to be the smartest guy and the gal in the room when you're talking about a company, be able to, and don't say, I know your goals and read them out, just be able to say, well, I think we should do this because it supports the goals. Because even if you're wrong, if it doesn't work out to support the goals, and they've got a reason why, they understand where you're coming from. Does that make sense? Utilize resources in a manner to support goals. As a manager, your key role is to supervise the use of the organization's resources, not supervising the people. Because if you're managing people, they should be doing what they're supposed to be doing, right? When they step out of line and they're late, that's when leadership kicks in. You know the difference. There's the difference of figuring it out. That makes sense? We're good? Management, planning, organizing, leading, controlling of human and other resources, achieve organizational goals effectively and efficiently. That's what I just yacked about for 5 minutes. Okay. I'm going to give y'all this one, and we're going to talk about it for a minute. Efficiency and effectiveness. Which is better? Which is more important? Would you rather be efficient or would you rather be effective? Doing the right things or doing things right?
That would be effective. Me personally.
Yeah. We had efficiency studies. Everybody ever watched Cheaper by the Dozen? The movie? It's all about efficiency. Right. We'll get into the history here next chapter, but yes, effectiveness is superior. You have to be efficient. But again, this is
Not effective at all.
right. Exactly. See, exactly. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Anybody ever read that book, took that class? I have. Great class. If you get a chance, take it. Do you need to do the right things or do things right? Do things correctly or do the correct things? That's really the difference. You need to do the correct things. You can do things right all day long. We heard that growing up, right? It's worth doing right. Good, because it said if it's worth doing. Efficiency does not qualify that with, is it worth doing or not? What was the name of the company? Not Singer. Oh, anyway, they made typewriters. They were good at making typewriters. Really good. What happened? Went out of business because, right, IBM came about because business machines came about. So the people who made the typewriters were still better than anybody else, but they didn't see around the corner that was going away. They were so focused on being efficient and making, they made it even cheaper and better. Typewriter never was going to compete with the business machine. So efficiency is important, but unlike leadership and management, they're not equal. One trumps the other. You got to remember what you're going to see people when you're a manager, especially when you hit mid-level management, start working your way up. People are going to want to focus on efficiency. They're going to give you a report. They're going to tell you how efficient they are, especially when change comes about. Try to reintroduce change into a company because you have to, because your boss said we're changing on this. And you try to introduce this to someone. What they're going to tell you if they don't like it, we all hate change, I certainly do. They're going to tell you how efficient they are at what they do. And they're going to try to get even better, and you're going to be at a disconnect. Does that make sense? How does that? You've probably experienced that before, right? Right, yeah, because they're effective at it. And they're going to try to define for you what it is they should be doing. If you're in the management system, that's exactly what your role is, define for them what they're supposed to be doing. Not do it for them, that's micromanagement, right? That's a bad word. We don't like it. What you want to do is define what their role is and watch them do it. So that's really leadership, right? Management, both. But what you're trying to do is be effective, not necessarily efficient. Now, you need to be efficient while you're doing it. It's there, right? Efficiency can be hit and be easy, though. We can all figure out an easier way to do stuff. You got to do the right stuff first. Okay, so make sense to everybody? Good. All right, for task and management. We'll start with, which one don't really matter. Let's start with controlling. Nope, let's don't. Start with planning, it does matter. They all, you'll do them all at the same time simultaneously, but I'm going to start with planning. So first, as a manager, you got to plan. Then you got to organize. Then you got to lead it. Then you got to control it. So planning is to choose the appropriate organizational goals and courses of action to best achieve those goals. That's assuming that you're running a corporation, which most of us don't, and you're trying to find the goals. what do we do here? So take this piece and drop it down a level or two. What are my organization's goals? And what I'm planning, how's it going to support that? That makes sense. 'Cause I can't sit there and tell you the goals for the United States Army. They're not allowing me to do that. I got some good ideas, but they're not calling me. Okay? Not answering my emails either. So what you're going to do is you need to decide what their goals are and then plan that accordingly. Then you got to organize, right? Got to organize what it is you're going to do. Establish a task and authority relationships that work, that allow people to work together and achieve goals. Now, this is hard. Establish task and authority. We're going to do this, and you're going to be in charge of this. That makes sense. Next, those relationships, authority relationships, you got to let everybody know that. You got to let them know that. You ever come in and people tell you, we want this done, and they walk away. Are you left hanging? Who's responsible for what or who's in charge? They manage when they should have led. All right. And I know it's for task and management, but my point being is what they should be doing is telling you that. If you're a manager, don't be that guy or gal. Explain to them. Take that 5 minutes to say, these are the tasks. Check, Roger. And this is how we're going to accomplish it. I'm going to create a relationship as to where you're going to tell him and he's going to tell him. However you want to set that up. That allow people to work together to achieve the goal. So sometimes it's easier just to have a group, right? It's all doing a group project. Sometimes it's easier to chop it up. You're going to do A, you're going to do B, C, you're going to do B, you're going to C, you're going to do D, and we're going to come back to them. But sometimes it's more dependent on it, right? You're going to watch them three do their job. You're going to tell me how they're doing left or right. That's organizing. If anybody forgets anything, they go from planning. Some people don't even plan, right? You jump right in and start doing it. But if they're trying to be a manager, the biggest mistake I see, I've certainly done it. I'm in a hurry. And sometimes I don't want to be just because where I am, I'm a leader. In my mind, I want to be, I jump straight to leading. Then they start leading. You got to set up this. And then you're like, because you know in your mind it's a good idea. And you know in your mind it can work. But if you do not take the extra time to organize people and explain, that's what the book doesn't say. Explain your organizational method to them. Another good tip is listen to feedback. They might have a better idea of how to do it too. Well, we might not let so-and-so lead because they're not so good at it. How about letting so-and-so lead? You know, that kind of thing. Take that time, then jump over into leading, which is just to motivate, coordinate, and energize individuals, right? And coordinating things. Hey, how you doing? Doing good. What do you need? Well, it'd be nice if I had a coat. Let me go get you a coat. That'll get you going better. You see what I'm saying? That's the part that you're doing there in the leading. Some of us like to jump to that. Ensure they're still working together, getting, organizational goals. Because if you don't watch it, leader, you act like you ain't got nothing to do. I get it all the time. Man, you don't do nothing. You just walk around and watch us. Yes. I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to see that you're motivated. I'm going to ask about your kid and this other stuff. Not being cheesy, not that I don't care. I'm just going to make sure that you're motivated in your own task. And then I'm going to come back a day or two later and I'm going to find out y'all got really efficient at what you're doing. But you lost sight of my goal. And I'm going to put you back onto my goal. Hey, we figured out how to dig this ditch so much faster. Right. That's not what we're trying to do. Right? We're trying to accomplish something else. You waste a lot of time on digging the ditch faster than, laying the cable that goes in the ditch. So motivate and keep them on goal. That's the leading part. Careful not to forget about organizing. Control and establish accurate measuring monitoring systems to evaluate how well the organization is doing. And everybody, this is key for everybody. They always miss this. They call it controlling, but in the Army, we put it this way. If I can't evaluate it, don't count. That's a live action mission. Everything else is it's not training if I don't get to evaluate it. It doesn't count if you do not establish a measure as to how they're doing. How are we doing today? We're doing great. Oh, good. If I don't have a goals and I don't have a way to measure those goals, how do I know if you're doing good or not? It's just an opinion. Now, in a factory, it's real easy. How many widgets did you produce today? 32. You're supposed to be at 50, you're behind. Or I've produced 150. Well, you're ahead because you're supposed to do 50. Pretty easy. If we're not in the factory, we've got to look at our goals and ask those questions. How are we doing today? So now you've got to write down as a leader is what a timeline of sorts. Today we should have this much accomplished on this day. Does that make sense? That's control. Pretty elementary, but this will work when you fight any task. Some tasks are more complicated than others. But the 4 things you got to do is plan, make a plan that supports the goals, organize appropriately, and relay that to the people that will be doing that. Continue to check on them. That's the leading part, and ensure that they're staying on task, and then have accurate measuring and monitoring systems so that you know. Good? Maybe we already all knew that, and I know it, and I'm still forgetting some of those steps when I get excited. So it's always worth going over. Managers identify and select appropriate. This is each one. Talk them. We're going to just get through there. Except for 3 steps of planning. Which goals to pursue? We talked about strategies to attain those goals. That's what you do in planning. What's my strategy? How am I going to get there? It's always good to ask help here. Ask other people, especially the people that are going to be doing it. Because what do you achieve if the people that are actually going to be doing the task have a say in it? What's the term, the buzz term for that? Buy-in. Sometimes it's dangerous, though. You ask for their opinion on how to do it. They tell you a way that you ain't going to do. Then they really mad because you didn't do it. Some tasks I don't try to achieve buy-in because I know they're not going to do it anyway. But that's just knowing your people. But it's always good to ask at this stage if you can. How to allocate your resources, we hit on that one a lot, right? So who's going to get what to do their job? And organizing, grouping people into departments according to kinds of jobs and specific tasks they perform. Managers lay out lines of authority and responsibility. We talked about that. And decide how best to organize resources, particularly human resources, right? It's really easy to manage a truck. It don't talk back. It doesn't mind the task that it's doing. People, tell somebody you got to take the garbage out, right? A lot of organizations are getting lean. We don't need to be paying a cleaning staff when I got 40 people working here. I mean, sometimes that's tough to do. Not just that one. It's just you got it. Human resources. Y'all's degree. That's what I like about it. So it's really a newer study of it's new emerging field of how to best manage humans. Not the pop psychology stuff to trick them into doing stuff, but how to organize people to get them to respond. All right, leading. What is leadership? This is using power, personality, and influence, persuasion, and communication skills. It revolves around encouraging all employees to perform at a high level. Outcome of leadership is highly motivating, committed workforce. All right, let me back up. I like the book's definition. That's okay definition. It is persuading people to do what you want them to do. That's leadership. They say that. They just get real faint. And you lose the power to persuade. Power to persuade people to do what it is you want to do. Not convince them through a lot of talking. When I say power, I say do this, you do that. Right? Right. Or it don't have to be dominion. It don't have to be demanding. Some people just naturally follow folks, do they not? That's why I say dominion. Some people have to work on it or do that. Some will get into types of authority, legitimate, that kind of stuff. You're in the Marine Corps, right? So you understand legitimate authority, right? After about day 15 at boot camp for him, he realized that there's probably about day 1, but by day 15 he really got it. There's some people in charge. When he saw that particular rank, they said do it, he was going to do it. Power to persuade. But you don't have to have legitimate authority either. Some people just have that kind of power, right? Office managers have that kind of power, don't they? Boss and secretary. You ever notice that? A lot of organizations. Secretary can run everything. She's got access to the boss. Y'all seen those, right? So, power to persuade. Don't mistake it with power that I'm wearing on my chest or a position that I have. That's certainly power in the leader. It can come from anywhere. That's why I say the power to recognize leadership when you leading when you see it. And here it is. Influencing someone to work willingly toward a predetermined objective. Yeah, power to persuade them. Get them to do. Okay. Greatest leaders of all time. Zoom students, you still with me?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Start. Either one of y'all jump in and tell me who you think a great leader is, and then the next one can tell me.
Dr. Martin Luther King.
Absolutely. Great leader. Give me another one.
George Washington.
Yeah, absolutely. Started a whole country.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
There you go. George Washington. Martin Luther King had an entire movement. Let's start with George. George created a country out of sheer will, mainly because he was ticked off because they wouldn't let him be an officer in the British militia. However, that was a big mistake. And I never seen a man, I never studied a man who got defeated so many times. Alexander the Great never lost a battle. George Washington hardly ever won a battle, but yet he is able to create and forge a country. And then was great enough to step down. Didn't want to be. He wanted the country started. He had an idea, and people just naturally followed that guy. Like that time he was in battle, and the shot went right through his coat. He just stood in front of everybody when they were getting tore up and led right through that. Awesome, 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 great leader. One of the greatest of all time. Martin Luther King. He did something I've never studied anybody else ever to be able to do to an extent, which is to have a particular group of people voluntarily give up power. There was an establishment that had power over everybody else, or at least one particular group. And in times in the past, there's always been a reversal of that through violence or people taking over. Martin Luther King made the government capitulate because his idea, his dream, was such a dream that we all believed in. Everybody started believing it. So when the people who were currently in power willingly gave up power themselves, now they weren't going to do that on their own without him there, but they didn't go, I ain't listening to him. He's got to go get guns to do it. They took his dream and said, actually, he's 100% right. We've got to reverse course. Two great leaders, good examples. Those men did things that when I study history, folks, I see great leaders people mention, and they didn't do those two things. Again, never win a battle hardly and create a nation on sheer will, and then convince people of your dream. Right now, everybody knows in my mind, my Christian world, right from wrong, and people knew they were wrong. I'm not saying that they had to be convinced that they were wrong. You had to convince people who knew they were wrong to give up their comforts and change where they thought. And the entire nation now thinks completely different because of what Martin Luther King did and the way that he did it. And a lot of people said it before him, but when he said it, it worked. So that is those are two great men. All right, who you at?
Nelson Mandela.
Nelson Mandela. He was on the lines of what Martin Luther did. He did it in a different manner of sitting in prison forever. The difference in the two, great leaders, no doubt about it, is unfortunately his government never got it. They just lost. And he got out and they lost because of the economy and they were wrong. The government's wrong. And today, I'm not saying our government's perfect. I don't think we're perfect as a people. But the things that you would have said in the 60s, you can't say out loud today if you believe it without people. 9 out of 10 people going, or 8 out of 10 people going, no, that's wrong. Where Nelson Mandela comes from, there's still a whole group of people that didn't get changed. But yes, absolutely a great leader because it wouldn't happen without it. Who do you have?
I've been trying to think of one. I don't think I can think of a really good one. But it probably wouldn't make very much sense to anybody else. But Abby Wambach.
Okay. Oh yeah, the soccer player.
Yeah.
No, she made me watch soccer.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I was gonna
she's
say,
awesome.
not just her, EAM,
Mm-hmm.
really, like, nobody else soccer did. World Cup doesn't have to.
Absolutely. They changed my mind and opinion, my stupid, backwards from Southeast Arkansas opinion because we didn't have soccer. And I don't want my kids playing soccer because they got to play football. To my son plays soccer, by the way, not football, which I'm very happy about because I don't want the injuries of football. And he's never going to be a little guy, he played, but I like soccer. It's fun. I watched the 30 for 30 on Wambach. And you've seen that on ESPN? Awesome show. So Todd knows she is. And of course, I knew me and Helen. Yeah, those are leaders, no doubt about it. To inspire entire generation and stuff. So that's cool.
Well, too, I've looked at it back in the day, and it's about the same time frame. You remember John Rommel?
Mm-hmm.
Very great. I mean, very smart man.
Yeah, great leader.
And you had all the Murphy, one
Yep.
of the highest decorated soldiers in the army.
Audie Murphy.
Started from nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
No Marine Corps rejected him. Everybody rejected the army.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Audie Murphy, the most decorated guy I ever led, like you would not believe, great at everything. Rommel had Hitler listened to Rommel. We might have lost that war. At least D-Day wouldn't have went well. Rommel did not lose. Hitler was a madman and had the best general of all of us. And fortunately for us, he didn't listen to him. I call that providence.
But I've read a lot on it, and just it's kind of fascinating.
Yeah.
He knew what he was doing.
Oh, yeah. He could lead and motivate people. He could organize it. Yeah. Who do you have?
I'm kind of sitting here thinking about Grant, trying to decide if he was a better leader or manager, but he really turned the war around for the Union. They were losing until he kind of stepped in, but I mean,
Yeah.
it was also such a mess that he really managed it and led it.
I think he managed his troops well, and he led, no doubt. I think, of course, he was good to his soldiers. Back then, they wasn't so much. But the other thing is very fascinating. You're right. People that he doesn't get credit for leading, he led his own government. They had a different idea. See, the North wanted to win in a. It was like when not George Foreman, when Riddick Bowe and Holyfield fought the first time. Holyfield's a lot better boxer than Riddick Bowe. Riddick Bowe just bigger than he was. So Holyfield went toe to toe with him. Good fight. Probably the best fight ever. At the end, barely Riddick Bowe wins. Holyfield went back, fought him again and boxed and tore him up. He's having to be half the size. He was fighting over his weight. Same thing with the North. The North was getting beat. General Lee was better than anything they had. The South was better fighters. Yes, they had a good leader. They didn't have good leaders. But from Lincoln down, they wanted to win. Below Lincoln, Lincoln didn't care. He knew what he needed to do. But all those other people had that stinking pride that got in the way. Grant was able to stick at it and lead his own people to realize the best way to win. We outnumber them 2-1. We have the industry. We're not going to win this in a week. We're going to have to strangle them. The anaconda is what he came up with. And also we're going to have to cut loose Sherman. We're going to let that guy go. And he did that, and he won the war in attrition. And he got General Lee to admit that I cannot win as long as you're fighting in a war of attrition. Because at Appomattox, General Lee's people still were wanting to fight, had the will to fight, and they still could cause a lot of damage. But he also led Lee to realize that you're going to do this, we're still going to win, and a lot more people die. So Lee walked away, and he got his own people convinced to do that. And he also, very key too, that gets mixed in history, is he convinced his government, him, Lincoln, but he made the deal. Walk away with your arms and walk away with citizenship. Now, nobody in the North say Lincoln wanted to do that. They wanted him punished. Had he done that, the war would have continued. they would have walked away and then fought again. So he had, so he's
Chamberlain
school teacher, and changed the course of history from what he did. Here's my opinion of greatest leaders of all time. GOAT. Ronald Reagan. Okay. He not only him being a president, get my politics out there, just able to change the way people thought. Save the country from being failure. Trickle down economics actually worked. Okay. A lot of things he did I didn't like. I'm not a war on drug guy. I'm against drugs. Don't get me wrong. I'm just not thinking that's successful. But what he did was an entire country saved. I think he's up there. Oh, and the end of the Cold War. Without firing a shot, because that's when it's called the Cold War. That guy's a genius. because a lot of us wouldn't be here today. Our parents or whatever would have been dead fighting the Russians. Because of the economic winning, he made them go broke trying to keep up with us. A lot of people was against him building up arms. No problem building up arms, in my opinion, is when you have to use them at the drop of a hat. So Winston Churchill motivated citizens to resist Nazis. Remember now, Nazis just walked across Europe, so they got to this little bit tiny island, and the Brits were the first to really come back. And a lot of people were ready to capitulate when he got there. So, okay, he wins. We don't want to die fighting. He said, "No." And he gave speeches, and everybody fought, and they demanded they fight. It was a hard fight. Officer Martin Luther King, you risk and lost life. They're numbered, but they're not because of the last. Risk and lost life for noble cause via civil disobedience. We already talked about Martin Luther King. He's there. George Washington, we glad American displayed unusual bravery. Abraham Lincoln, great leader, right? I mean, come on. He saved the nation from splitting, and without him, slavery wouldn't have been ended anytime soon. That's amazing in that time, even in the North, to say, I don't think we should have slaves. You were an outcast for even saying that, for a president to come and say that. Now, you study him, he's a little slow on the draw on it and everything else, but he did it. That's awesome. Led the country through its darkest days and freed slaves. Just amazing. Gandhi resisted tyrannical rule of the British along the lines of Martin Luther, the way he did it. And he didn't have to use violence, and he put himself out there. So he got the British to leave him alone. And the nonviolence thing. Of course, Nelson Mandela, and I know there, FDR, he led America military to World War II, won that one for us, made us a national power. Of course, Nelson Mandela was 30 years in jail on false charges, got apartheid, first democratic elected president of South Africa. Great. Why is he great? He never lost a gun battle. He just died. He was whipping everybody. At 32, he dies or so, somewhere around that. This guy, though, was good at fighting battles. Things that other people didn't do, and he's always outnumbered and always won. Did conquer the world, the known world, and we still use his study strategies today. And then obviously, all the rest not in order for me. I can argue all of them until I get to this one. Because, well, Jesus, right? And what did he do? He knew he did eventually die for his faith, and with that, saved the entire world. So, can't get any better than that, and led in such a way. So, controlling process. Anybody disagree with any of those, by the way? Any argument? Any more to throw in there? Okay. All great leaders don't have to like a person to be a great leader. I hated the movie Gandhi. So, you know, but you study it, his tasks were great. Did you ever watch that movie Gandhi? Yeah. Won all those awards. You ever notice that, how they used to do that? The movie was boring, they won awards. I hated that movie. The ability to measure performance accurately and regulate organizational efficiency and effectiveness. So you got to control things, and you got to be able to do it to a point where you can measure if they're being efficient and effective. All right, you got to figure out which goals it is to measure. All right, I would argue that if it's one of your goals that you write down, you need to measure it. I guess there's some goals out there that some companies going to do. We're going to be nice and smile at everybody. They can still measure that though, but that's the book. The areas of managers, you got departments, group of managers, employees who work together, and process skills or use the same knowledge, tools, and techniques. You know, you got department, you got finance department, maintenance departments, right? They're used to that, seen that. Levels of management. We talked about this. Most of us in here, and most of our lives, we will be somewhere around middle to top. You be first lines, then you got CEOs up there, right? I think where we make our biggest mistakes is at the middle and the first line. So many times top managers get a lot of training. They get a lot of resources thrown at them. CEOs do, and a lot of that top level executive stuff and training. Most of the training I've been to is top manager and CEO executive level, and Lean Sigma Six, all that stuff is out there, and they teach you how to do all that. It'd be great But if you're middle to the first line managers, don't get it. That would be your branch manager at your bank, your shift supervisors, stuff like that, right? Or the supermarket manager in the middle and stuff. They've been to fast food and had a bad experience because the manager's not doing a good job. Probably didn't wake up and go, I'm going to go mess up McDonald's today or Wendy's. Probably wasn't trained. They didn't give them enough time. And the book doesn't do it justice, in my mind, middle and first line. Because they're the ones that's actually going to execute this, whatever your plan is at the top. I think you have to give that due to them, right? That's the ones that are doing it. So I think there needs to be more training. And that's where we find ourselves. And then that's more often to be you move, if you get a degree in something, you start at middle management and hope to move up to a top manager, executive level. So you're trained somewhat. It doesn't mean you're better or anything else, but you at least were trained and had these type classes. What happens and where do you get first line managers and middle managers from most of the time in the company is your seniority, right? Or they're really good at their particular job. We've all been there and seen that guy that's been promoted because he's been there longer than you, or because that's government a lot of times too, right? They got the narc, we have these rules, right? They get promoted, or because they're really good at what they do. Now, I'll give you an example. Magic Johnson, great basketball player. Not so good of a coach. We never considered that guy for coaching. Would have been a great basketball player. He never coached anything in his life. We thought he was a great basketball player, so they made him a coach. Didn't work out so well for him. Right? That's an example. Now, there's a lot of great players who could be a great coach, and he probably could have been a great coach if he didn't play 20 years in the NBA, and he had 20 years learning how to be a coach. He had zero formal training in coach. He had a lot of coaches, but let's face it, who ever coached Magic Johnson? Think about it. One of the greatest basketball players to ever play. So the day that he was first got a basketball in his hand, everybody probably knew he's better than everybody else. So if you were fortunate enough to call yourself a coach over him, you just got to look better because he happened to be that good, right? So no one bothered to. He never probably even saw a good coach. And if you were a good coach, you didn't need to coach. You were smart enough not to coach Magic Johnson because they already knew his whole life. So he comes a coach, surprise, surprise, he's not very good at it. He's never been coached. He was just naturally good. If you're naturally good at something, it's probably hard to teach because you didn't learn it yourself. If you learn something, it's probably easier to teach, right? A lot of times, first line and middle managers that way. They get there because they're really good. Like that office person that does really good at what they do. Well, we love her to death. She's great. So then you promote them. But you didn't train them in any way. Not that they couldn't have been taught, but they got 10 years in your company doing this, and then they don't do a good job of leading, and then it doesn't work out. You see where it's coming from. So I'm just a firm believer, middle to first line managers, we've got to put more attention on them, especially if you ever hit the top management. Spend time developing your middle to first line. If you're in a first line or middle management position, spend time developing yourself and the people around you. All right, got to have conceptual skills. You got to be able to analyze and diagnose a situation and distinguish between cause and effect. Pretty self-explanatory. Makes sense to you? It's really what it is when you're managing it. You got to cause and effect, figure it out. What's causing that? What's the effect of that? So now how do I change it? Now, first just coming in, let's just change it for change's sake. Or you were late, so therefore I'm docking you 2 hours pay. Okay. Now you didn't ask the question, why were you late? Might be a good reason. I was saving drowning kittens or something. It could be a good reason. Cause and effect. You got to see why, especially if you have someone habitually late or any other thing that's not going right. What's causing this? Or anything that's going good. We've been in that situation. Everything's going good and you're doing really well. You just don't know why. And then it ceases to be good and you don't have to fix it. A manager needs to know the cause and effect. That's where a manager is what they're solving. So when change does occur, you know what a cause and effect is and what now you look like you can look around the corner. Because if you know this cause gets this effect and someone says, well, let's do this, you can now say, well, yeah, but that will change your effect. You got to think of that way. That's what a manager needs to know. Human skills, so you can't just do that either. You can't just do that alone. Now, all that's good. And we know those people out there that are really smart, intelligent, know a lot of things, but they really can't understand a person, right? They can't deal with people. We all got them in the office, right? They're just not good people. right? Not a people person. You've heard that. They can't alter, lead, or control the behavior of other individual groups. In fact, they inspire people to do wrong, right? Because they're just rude or unintentional sometimes, but that's just their way. If this was a full semester class, you ever seen the show Office? The
Part
sitcom?
of it.
Yeah. We would watch an episode of that because you can see all of that in there. Technical skills. All right. And to be a manager is certainly helpful that you have the job specific skills required to perform a particular type of work or occupation. Now you can manage things you don't know how to do, you're not particularly good at. You should know what they do and how to do it, though, right? That will help you determine the cause and effect. You don't have to be the best one at it, but you at least need to know how. It does. Absolutely. You can measure it if you've done it and seen it. So which is most important of those three skills?
Behavioral skills.
I would say so. Anybody disagree with that or think different? And it might depend on the job that you're doing, of course.
You don't need to be there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't communicate, deal with people on a daily basis.
Sure.
You can't communicate, you can't do your job, but,
Yeah, but if I'm a pipe fitter in a company, in a building, and that's all I do is put the pipes in for you, fit the pipes and put them together. Might not have to have human skills to an extent, other than I know how to groom myself enough to where I don't get kicked out of public and I can show up to work and then one guy's dealing with me and they say, "Hey, go get it, bud," and I go and get it. So it does depend on the job. But given all of that, even if I had a pipe fitter and they say you got to pick one of those they're going to be best at, I'm going to go with the skills. I just want to like them. I want to be able to get home.
Right.
IT people running this all the time. Interface with the computer very well. Then they come to fix my computer, they don't interface with me at all. They're telling me how dumb I am. I got that. That's why I got you. That goes. We've all seen those parodies of that. But some jobs lend more to itself than others of doing that. Doctors, man, they don't teach them how to run business or people skills sometimes. They might be as brilliant as they can be, but if you don't motivate a patient, that's when they've been in nurses. But someone's got to get you to follow that treatment. Docs sometimes just don't have that. I've been to doctors that just have no people skills whatsoever. I mean, I feel worse now for seeing them. It might have cured me, but I just feel terrible. It made me feel stupid. You ever tell them what's wrong with you, and they kind of give you that look, so you just say why you think that's wrong, and they go, "Why do you think that?" Well, I'm the doctor. I hate that when they do that.
I had from my quad, my doctor, and he just kept saying, "I want to get home, but they say it's your knee." I'm like, "It's not my knee. It's my muscle." I promise you, my leg is all bruised and everything, and he was bleeding in there. And he just kept saying, he kept feeling on my knee. I'm like, "It's coming. It's not my knee."
Yeah, they're not listening. Not good people skills. All right. Right. They already got something in their mind. Yeah, I've had them make me feel dumb. I got crappy in my old age now, so I bark back. I don't think it gets me any healthier, but just let them know. Yeah, you're smart, but
So it's important still too.
yeah. All right, core competencies. What is it? Specific set of skills that allows the organization to outperform its competition. That's another key one. So your core competencies, what you really need to be, that you're speaking to, which is effectiveness. You need to be efficient at it, but it's what you do, not that the other people don't do, but it allows you to outperform. Sets you apart. It creates a competitive advantage. In a business, you want a competitive advantage. It is great to study to be a manager or a leader. If you're going to be a manager or leader in government, that is perfectly fine to stop here. The issue is you want a competitive advantage everywhere else. You have a company trying to make money. They're not going to be wowed by your leadership skills per se. They're not going to say, everybody likes them and they follow them and do what they do. But they don't have time for that. They're going to say, did you make money? This is why I'm very consistent with application from this to there. Because when you go out there, have the courses, you've graduated, you're a manager, you're a leader, you have business degree, whatever degree you got, and you go out there and you just want to focus on leading and doing that. If you do not create or add to the bottom line a competitive advantage, they're not going to keep you, because they're not going to care. No one in business world hangs your picture on the wall because you were their best leader. We do that for other jobs in the military, stuff like that. So competitive advantage is what comes from your core competency. You need to understand as a business manager what it is, how to take principles of management, leadership, and such, that you learn and apply it to create a competitive advantage. Everything should lead to that if you're in a company for $1. Now, me, my entire adult life, I've never worked for anything but for government. So I never had to worry about making a profit. But I do know that you do have to have, our goals and stuff are still the same. Every time I take a civilian course, y'all do it different. Y'all don't understand the military. Y'all, they think I just bark orders and that we do push-ups all the time. It's not even the case. We study and lead in much the exact same way. We do try to get a competitive advantage. In fact, we have a huge competitive advantage right now in the United States Army military. You know what that is? Nobody can beat us. That's why we don't fight. That they can say all you want, all the politicians say anything they want to, but they don't hate us because we're Americans. They don't hate us because of this or that. They don't not attack us because of this or that. There's what we call a peer competitor. There isn't one. No military can stand toe to toe with our military and survive. No. Set all the pride aside, they can't. Now, can terrorists? That's why you have terrorism. Terrorism works because it works in the civilian public. It changes your opinion on what we should and shouldn't do. People used to ask me all the time, what about terrorists? You don't have to worry about terrorists. They are going to kill you if they want to kill you, and so is a car wreck. They're going to attack when we're not around or when you're not ready. They are not bad about attacking armed people. That doesn't mean arm everybody to keep terrorism away. That won't work either. Because they terrorized us in Iraq and Afghanistan where everybody was armed. They just do it when you ain't looking. And trust me, we all got to sleep. We're all not looking at some point. Point being is, my job is we have to create a competitive advantage everywhere you go. Now, exactly. The United States military has done that. We've done that well for the public. That's the one thing we're good at. All this other stuff, not so good at. We're not a perfect organization. But given the right resources, the right manpower, and we have that. We have a very small army compared to what our population is. So that's a big feat. Well, you got more people than everybody. Not really, no. China's way bigger than us. India's way bigger. We have a competitive advantage. Mainly, we got aircraft carriers and such, and satellites and such, and then really good weapons and really good leadership skills and all that kind of stuff. But no one would ever stand right now. Might change later, but no one will stand toe to toe in the battlefield with us. So last time that happened was World War II. It turned out so well for two sides. So, competitive advantage is that. In the business, same way. Walmart has a competitive advantage. Supply chain. They control the supply chain. You will make, if Walmart does not sell your product, you probably won't make money. They will determine how much they get from you and when they get it. They don't even have to pay you for your product until it sells in certain products. Diapers. Did you realize that? Walmart don't pay for those diapers. You put it on the shelf and then they just pay you as it goes. They just bill back what they sell. Because they know they're all going to sell them, and you got to be in the Walmart to sell it. Because no matter where you shop, what your social economic thing is, you're not going to buy diapers. Everybody's going to buy them. Kids going to buy them from Walmart. Buy them from other places too, but I'm just saying they have a huge competitive. Toilet paper is the same way. It's not every product like that, but you try to get your line into Walmart. They have a competitive advantage because they can have more stores, have a lower price, blah, blah, blah. Like Walmart, hate it, doesn't matter. They have a huge competitive advantage. So if you're their company and if you got to choose between Target and Walmart to where to sell your goods, it's not even a question. You'd much rather sell. You want both.
Well, I noticed with them that, because I did this, I always compare Walmart or Amazon. And I'm like, they just,
Yeah. They will send you diapers.
You get paid more.
Got to pay more. Yep.
Yeah, from Amazon.
That's why Walmart's cheaper on diapers, because they don't pay overhead. No overhead. It's amazing, because they bullied the companies into that.
I looked at that to see who can I do Walmart, and right now.
You know what Walmart does too? My wife come up with this. She didn't come up with it. She told me this. This is her thing, because I don't shop. A true advantage of being married for me is not having to shop or anything, 'cause I'm no good at it. There's that app in Walmart. So you take the receipt and you scan that thing. And then if it's cheaper anywhere else, Walmart gives you credit. So then she scans that back when she pays. Now, true to my wife, she gets $20-$30. That doesn't mean we put that on a grocery bill. That means she can buy what she wants. That's her thing. She scans every receipt. When she gets up to a certain amount, she's like, "Ooh, I got that," and to her it's free because it was cheaper. Yeah, that's a pretty cool deal. That's a competitive advantage. They can do that. They can give back money because they're a billion-dollar corporation. Whereas if I wanted to open up my own little store, I couldn't afford to do that. So yes, that's a competitive advantage. All companies are looking for that. As a manager, you're trying to figure out how to help them do that. Hopefully your leadership skills and management skills will allow you to do that. You've got to show a way to how to apply that. That's what that is. For example, as we talked about, restructuring, simplifying, shrinking, or downsizing to lower operating costs. Today's economy is bad. Everybody's companies that went through these kind of things, right? They're changing how your Walmart looks, they changed this, they changed that. We've been there. Outsourcing. Companies that were good at it. Nobody else has done major changes or anything? Any companies out there? Those are the ones they mentioned.
Locally, wouldn't Southwestern Energy be a good example of that?
Yes, it is. It is. And on the theme of Southwestern Energy, Southwest Airlines did that too. Remember they were here? So Axiom does it quite a bit. So yeah, they are. And everybody's trying to lower their operating costs and get other ways of doing it. Then we get into outsourcing, and that's contracting with another company to perform a worker activity. You do it with other countries. That's a big thing in the news, usually in a low-cost country abroad, right? Everybody used to throw a fit, when we realized that Walmart's getting stuff from third world countries and why it's cheaper. Now no one cares. Yeah, in that country. If you ever call the tech places or a lot of other places or anywhere else, you're outsourced. Some guy named Tom with an accent, and his name ain't Tom, right? You're gonna get that, right? Hey, or whatever name they give them, they choose, but they outsource the tech stuff because you can pay a very smart guy a lot less money in India than you can in America. Very smart people in America like to make a lot of money, but they can't sell you Dell very cheap and support it if everybody's making a lot of money. Somebody has to get beat on this deal. In India, though, don't feel bad. A lot of money's there. So 3 million jobs moved abroad since 2000. It's a little bit dated because it's 8th edition. More than that now, probably. Dell employs 12,000 in India. So I'm all against Dell anymore. I used to have Dell computers, and that's I have an accent, and they have a hard time understanding me, and I have a hard time understanding them if I can't see them. So plus Dell is just does a bad job supporting my product now. Y'all like Dell, that's fine. I'm not saying don't buy Dell. I'm just telling you that's a lot of companies do it. All right, change the subject. Empowerment. You may know what empowerment is. That's another leadership buzz term. There you go. Absolutely. Give them the power to do their job. It's the opposite of micromanaging, really. Say the opposite, but along those lines would be the opposite of it. Empowerment is, giving them the authority and ability to do their job. Giving employees more authority and responsibility over the way they perform their activities. So I tell you what to do, you tell me how you're going to do it. Right? That's empowering them. You have a say in how you're going to perform this task. That works well in corporations and stuff that do things in management and that kind of stuff. Probably don't work so well on the assembly line, right? In factories. I mean, hire my own empowered guy to, build a transmission. He does his one little part. I mean, I give you the tool. That's basically it. got a better idea. It don't really matter. I got to keep it going. But in an organization's example would be Axiom. They're known to empower their employees. Every year they get rated or used to, great place to work at. They rate teams and they group teams and they all, some kumbaya and get along and they do it that way. Drives me crazy when I hear my friends that work at Axiom tell me about that. I'm in a different environment where no, we don't do it that way. But it's a good way of doing things. They empower their people in a business that needs to keep a competitive edge through creativity and beating the competitor. That's a good way of doing it.
The duty, I've got a group and I certain tasks done, and I said, look, you guys want to work out how it gets done? I need to be doing it. It's a rotation schedule. I don't care.
Yeah.
Most of the time, they'll do it. Take this.
You work at
and then I
Axiom?
can take that. No, I work at school.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. You told me that. Same thing.
Like
Yeah.
teaching assistants, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever the duties are.
Yeah.
You can work it out.
Yep.
They'd much rather.
Absolutely. And in my environment, we do that a lot, but we don't make a formal group of it. But yes, that's empowerment. A good thing. Building blocks of competitive advantage. Got to be efficient. Got to be innovative, responsive to customers, and you got to have quality. So, we said efficiency is less than effectiveness, but for competitive advantage, you still have to be efficient in what you do. Right? If you're effective and on target in making something, but another company is more efficient at making they can make it cheaper. That's typically what efficiency would lead to, then you won't be as good. Does that make sense to everybody? Innovative. Again, for a company that wasn't so innovative, still making typewriters, we're not business. Yeah, Kodak, right. You got to learn and move over into new emerging technologies. You can figure it out. Got to be responsive to your customers. Examples today, they came to hook up Dish Network in my house to take me off of UVerse because it's going to be cheaper. But the door-to-door salesman, which I never buy from, but I did this time, it's going to be so much cheaper. Went from a certain amount of TVs to another certain amount, and then when they got there, they can deliver that. And like, hold on, let's talk to customer service because they're going to charge me $200 to get what I want. They weren't very responsive. So the contract's gone and the money I already paid, they're now refunded, not responsive. The lady did say, I hate to lose this deal over $100. And I said, well, good. And they charged me $100. I don't have the authority to do that. That's awesome because now you're not very responsive. They put someone on the phone with no authority. That's not responsive. You're talking to me, but that doesn't mean no good. But it's a good deal. It doesn't matter. I'm not paying another $100. Period. That's what I'm telling you. Shouldn't. And if you go back and look at my inordinate cable bill, me and my family, I'm a bad customer to lose, right? $100 for them. So they're invariably going to call me in a couple days and say, we're sorry, Mr. Hall, and try to work a deal. Meanwhile, they lost a lot of money with that technician set up and everything else, and they made me angry. So just out of spite of that, I'll go back with them. Not responsive to the customer. Now, I thought we were getting somewhere getting on the phone because the technician shows up and says it's going to be $200 to $100 more to get what you want. I don't have the authority. I don't want it. He said, well, can't lose the deal. Let me get you to customer service manager. Talk to customer service manager. She says, I can't help you. Let me get you to they've had different names. Second one, she says, I can't do anything about it. We don't want to lose you, though. She gave me everything right to say, except I can't change my mind. Is there anybody else I'm talking to? No, sir. Can't do anything else. That ends it. Not responsive to customers. Not a good business. Now, they might make it. That might just be one particular incident because the salesman did a bad job. The good thing is we wrote everything down. So I'm reading off what he wrote. I still got a copy. They got a copy of the contract. What he said you could do and what y'all could do were two separate things. Too easy. So they have to give them the money back. Don't have a contract with them. Not responsive to customers. Quality. You can't get products out there, obviously. You can. But if they're not as quality as the others, right? A lot of times we'll pay more money, right? For quality. Sometimes we'll pay more money just because it costs more money. You ever done that? You think it's better because it costs more? A good example in quality is Yeti. Yeti coolers. Oh no, the thing is way too heavy to carry anywhere. I mean, it weighs a ton, right? But quality is there. People buy it on the name and the quality. You can keep ice for weeks. You can't. Do you not have a refrigerator? When have I ever had to keep ice for weeks, maybe all day? There's plenty of good igloos that will keep your ice all day. You know, I went to the Razorback Bowl game in Memphis, the Liberty Bowl, and I pulled in the spot, and my truck had happened to be crashed the week before, so it was in the shop, the incident. And I got my wife's car, and then it hit me. I get out, and I'm around all these trucks. I pulled in that parking lot. Everybody gets out, and they got their big trucks. I got a big truck, you know. They got all their tailgate and stuff. It's just it's a thing to really show off your gear tailgate. That's what they're doing here. All these Razorback fans, and every one of them had a Yeti cooler. This big, huge chip. Of course, it's like 32 degrees there. So I had to tell them, please shut your cooler. You're making it cold. Because, they're so cold, like, oh, quit being a smart aleck. But Yeti is sold everywhere. And now you've got all these other products that Yeti sells because it's known to have quality. They've got a competitive advantage, not because of price, because of quality. Now, in my mind, more quality than I need. I made sure I told my wife, because she's that kind, she would, like for Christmas or Father's Day, if she thinks she needs it, she wants to buy me something nice, she'll buy it. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to spend that kind of money, not buy a Yeti. Let me get 3 other things I want. She's spent that money anyway. But if you would have, because, a $300 ice chest for me, nothing wrong with it. Don't mind anybody having it. I'm just saying, what other things I'd rather buy with that. Understanding the quality of it completely. My buddies all have one. They're awesome. Quality. However, at this point in my life, I don't need all that quality. So that's those. All right, here's the learning objectives. See if we hit it. What management is, we talked about that. Why is it important? We hit on that a little bit, right? Resource management and that kind of stuff. What managers do, how managers utilize organizational resources efficiently, effectively. Distinguish among planning, organizing, and leading. We went over that fast, but we went over it. Differentiate among 3 levels of management and understand the tasks and responsibilities of managers at organizational hierarchy. Any questions? Distinguish between 3 kinds of managerial skills. Discuss some major changes in management. Didn't get that much. Not going to ask you a lot about it. But IT is important, and it's changed the market from a local to a global market. Everybody understand that? Wasn't in our slides and it's in your book, but that's the key. You need to know about that. Because of information technology now, you're in a global market. And you mentioned it. Y'all know about it. Or you mentioned it first. You know about it. Talked about it. Amazon. Global market. That is awesome. Amazon. And they do like free shipping if you're Amazon Prime. Did you know that?
Yeah, fine.
I found this out the other day because I ordered some stuff. My wife's like, you're a madman, quit. But over New Year's, my buddy come and visit. He's a single guy now, and he lives in an apartment. And he's like, I don't shop. What do you mean you don't shop? I was telling him the advantage of being married. I don't want to get married again. My wife left me. I don't want to get married again. Like, actually, you need to get married again because it's great because my wife is here, does all this. And he's like, no, there's Amazon. You don't need a wife if you got Amazon because you can. He said toilet paper will show up just outside Notice because I never shop. So the other day, I look on Amazon.
You have to pay more for that, but
Oh, do you? Okay. I don't. But I was looking at what did I buy? It came.
every single one of my Christmas
Oh,
presents.
that's a great way to go. They got everything. So, I got the new phone with the new job. So I got this little iPhone, and my son got the new upgrade when I got his old one. But anyway, I'm going case because I want his goofy case. And then my other iPads, I bought my own iPad and stuff. Took money away from the job. So I bought those 2 cases from them and they sent them to me the next day. This is awesome. So I go in there and find several things I like, and I put it in the cart. And she's like, don't buy that yet. So they're in the cart. So now her Christmas shopping and Father's Day and birthday is all done. I'm just carting it up. But it's now a global market, right? She did order me. Now I realize where it came from. I've got this bag. It's a leather bag that I use for my church stuff. I got a bag for work. Then I got all my church stuff. Yeah, I have to credit in school and do a lot of things in church. A lot of other things. So I keep it separate. It's really cool. Everybody's name is at church. Oh, that's a nice bag. It's a leather man purse. It's one of those, opens up big, what do you call those? A messenger bag. But it's pretty cool. They call it a man purse if they want, but hold it. And for all this time, I thought my wife spent a whole bunch of money. Because I see these bags everywhere, $200-$300. And mine's a good quality. I've had it a couple of years now. There it is on Amazon, $39.99. From India. They don't have a name brand, which I would have known the name brand was good or not in a man purse, but I like it. So That's nothing. I found me another one for school stuff. So anyway, that's IT. IT is changed the world as we see it. It's shrunk the world and global market. Discuss the principal challenges managers face in today's increasingly competitive environment, and then of course the challenges that we do have in today's market is trying to get a competitive advantage when there's cheaper labor elsewhere. We have human problems, right? Resource problems, supply
Why
chain.
are selling it as being made in America? Where you can charge more.
More, right?
Everybody gets to feel good about it.
Yeah, that's all my grandparents, my in-laws, and the folks that, and made in America. Is it cheaper? I love America, don't get me wrong, but I got to make ends meet. So, okay. Anybody need a break? We need to take a break for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or do we want to drive on? How are the Zoom students doing? Am I going too fast for you? Am I talking too fast?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay. It's easier, I found out, and I'll try to slow it down sometimes. People can see me, can keep up, but sometimes I get to, it almost goes together. Because I listen to myself on the video, afterwards. I'm like, man, I talk too fast. Okay, let me find my other slides, and then we'll get on the next ones in. And it'll go quicker, because I don't like these as much. It's a history. The evolution of management. It's good stuff. It's just, it's already happened. Okay, so we're going to go over the thoughts of management, how we got to where we are. There's emerging things. We've got new terms, new things, and we're spending a lot of time on studying people and how they react and stuff. The big term that in the book, but I want y'all to know, is emotional intelligence. That's really what we get, is how we now need to study and worry about emotional intelligence. Anybody want to talk about when I say that? It kind of is like maturity. You ever seen people that's brilliant but lack emotional intelligence? Charismatic but lack emotional intelligence? They don't handle the situation well. Can you think about the news currently right now that's kind of like that? Yeah, there you go. Everybody's thinking it, right? Donald Trump, whether you like him or not, I'm not going to make any political statements in here. Whether you like him or not, that guy has emotional intelligence issues. Smart, billionaire. You can still be completely successful and not have emotional intelligence. You can have emotional intelligence and still be completely a failure. It's just knowing it if you got it or not. But it's sad when sometimes you don't, because it leads you to say and do things, otherwise you wouldn't do. Not being able to control or have good insight of I say control your emotions. I think you control those emotions. I think we all get adults to a certain extent we can do that. It's knowing that what I'm about to say and why I'm about to say it. Does that make sense? I know sometimes when I do things, and I know after I say it, that's petty. So it leads me to come back and say, well, I said that, but I said that out of a place in my heart that I shouldn't have. It's petty. I said that because I was angry with you. I said that because you hurt me. I said that because you offended me. This is what I'm now working on teaching my kids. I didn't think I ever got emotional intelligence until I had kids, because they'll do that. They'll be at each other, brother and sister. And then so now I don't go and get angry over necessarily what they said, unless it's something bad. But if they're angry with it, we will try to dive into where it came from. I mean, like, do you really mean that? I mean, no. Then why did you say it? Well, he hurt my feelings. Well, yes, he did. And he shouldn't have. But, that thing, emotional intelligence. So we work on that. Kind of like when she comes home because someone didn't sit by her, got up and left, and she said, that's emotional intelligence. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, one, I didn't even leave then, and I can't fix it. She's 14 years old. That's a big deal. We work on those things. We hope to, as we get older, to get around that. But Donald Trump, everybody kind of thought that one emotional wise. You can see. We just have a hard time in the news, at least they do. When you take a organizational behavior class, all those news anchors, because then they can define his behavior a lot better. They'll say something like, hey, what he's saying is not as important as to why he's saying it. This guy is saying this because he was offended or you thought less of him because he has an ego, right? That's not what they do. Everybody's responding to Trump in an emotional level. I don't like what he said. Well, if you live long enough and talk to enough people, you're not going to like what they say. Like I said, 17 years of marriage, I love that woman, but some things I don't like she said. And I know a lot of things I think she don't like. So, you know, a relationship requires, and we all know that, when you do that, to be successful with emotional intelligence, at least with each other. So it's entirely impossible to have emotional intelligence with people, some people, and not with others. This chapter is going to talk about how we got to there and how we manage people. That's all. So funny though, every class I do that in the last two, Trump's been the thing. When I say most times, everybody jumps right to it. Boy, I didn't have a good example. I mean, there's plenty of them, but not everybody would come up to it. And like I said, not saying anything good or bad about Trump or anywhere I fall. I'm just telling you that we know, you know, not just tell a lot. You know anybody with a great emotional intelligence? Control their emotions in any situation? Trump's running against the husband now. The wife. Bill Clinton. Whether you like him or not, the man's emotional intelligence is great. In any situation, you can see him get excited when he needed to or not excited. But when a man will have his entire personal life put on trial and he's in front of the world and his whole presence on the line, and he asks you to define his, they lost their emotional intelligence. What is he saying? The man can control a situation and conversation better. That's why he's a very effective guy. Like him or not, doesn't matter. Did he use it for good or evil? You make your own determination. Bill Clinton has very good emotional intelligence. Wife, not so much. She's not as bad as Trump, but not so much, right? So one of the reasons he's there, he has that. Doesn't mean you can be a good person or a bad person. It's just knowing. All right, so here we go. 1890s, they started thinking about this. We need to study this stuff. Scientific management theory. They use a science way of doing it. About the time they were inventing light bulbs and whatnot. Administrative management theory. Then they said, well, we got to look at how we do it, like what organizations we use. You know, the administrative part of it. You know, so that's the cheaper by the dozen. That's if we organize correctly, have 3 managers and district managers, and then above him, you know, 1 regional manager, that kind of stuff. And then somebody, we'll get to her. She actually come up with this well before, and no one listened to her because she's a woman at the time, and you know, we didn't put women up front at the time. But behavioral management showed up. Really, it matters scientifically and administratively how you do it, but it doesn't matter if they don't behave correctly. People do bad things, right? People do good things. So behavior management came up. This lady came up with it, and they listened, and they finally listened to her. Here it is. Then they come up with management science theory, how you manage people, kind of back to administrative, but just how you manage them, not just the organization, but, you know, how the manager manages, right? Then the organizational environment theory, which is it's really the environment that you're in, and each one's different. I lean towards back to behavioral management theory. They all stack on each other. None's more important, but really what you're trying to change as a leader, the hard part is behavior. So the first one is job specialization, process by which division of labor occurs as different workers specialize in different tasks over time. This came about, and this was the first one came about, is when he moved off the farm and started factories and stuff, they realized you don't need one guy cutting the crop, bringing it in, processing it, packaging it, and then selling. That was the old farm way. If I had cucumbers, I'd go take all the cucumbers out, then I would bring them in, clean them up, process them, package them, and I was a salesman. That was the old way. As we moved to cities and needed more food and everything else, we industrialized and got more urban. We realized it's more efficient to have one person farming it, one packaging it, one selling it. Job specialization. You see it in factories, you see it in your work, everywhere else you go. Someone is cleaning, someone is working with tellers, someone's doing this, someone's doing dispatch. You know, everybody has job specialization. So F.W. Taylor, scientific management, he came up with it. He says, the systematic study of relationships between people and tasks for the purposes of redesigning the work process to increase what? There's that word, efficiency. That's what all they're worried about. Let's just get more efficient. He didn't come in and tell you about your goals and your strategies. He just told you how to be more efficient. Pretty easy back in the day because you didn't worry about competitive advantage, because if you were doing something in a factory in the 1900s, you're probably the only one doing it anyway, right? Go forward, he didn't have to worry about a lot of competition at the time. Now you do, because there's a lot of other companies that can build cars. He built cars not one at a time. He built them on the assembly line, and that put him ahead of everybody else. They were very efficient at it. Later on, Ford started breaking and other people started beating, right, and had all the issues. Research continued with Franklin, Lillian Gilbreth. Then they started looking at management, the study of how to create an organizational structure and control system that leads. This is when they got on the factory floor and realized that I can't just expect everybody to show up. And I own the plant, right? I got my plant, and we're making sewing machines. And actually, I think it come out of the sewing machine factory, these theories. I'm making sewing machines, and I want everybody to show up. I'm the guy that owns it. So I walk in at 10 o'clock in the morning. They should have been there at 7, and half the force ain't there, and they're not doing that. I realized I didn't organize very well. Everybody's a worker. Who's watching the workers? I can't watch them all the time because I'm rich and I got to, spend my money. So they realized, hey, I got to have managers. Why? Managers are born. We didn't have managers before this, right? You had owners and workers. Now you got managers. That's what they realized. I need someone on that floor making sure everybody shows up and watching that clock. Tell them to go home, make sure they don't leave early, checking their production. That's where that came from. So they started that, and then the theory of bureaucracy. Weber said, goal is to ensure efficiency and effectiveness, and here you go. This is what a bureaucracy had. So he thought it was a good thing. You should have a bureaucracy. Now realize now we gripe about red tape, but prior to red tape, it had to get invented because it was a good thing. We just over-engineered it at this point, right? Too much red tape is bad. But he said, this seems simple, but realize again, when we just moved out of the farms into a factory, and now I own a factory, someone's got to think of this for me. Because I would like to keep my thing open, my competitive advantage, my business open. So you got to have a system of written rules and standard operating procedures, I call those SOPs, to specify how employees should behave. So you got to tell them, I want you to come on time, and I want you to wear safety equipment. Back then they didn't do that. They didn't care about safety equipment. That's the things you do now. I want to then you have to clearly specify hierarchy of authority. Okay, so you see, you're the worker, you build the sewing machine. This guy, he tells you what to do. He hires and fires you. That's what they did. It's an administrative thing. This other person, they pay you. They write checks, right? Based on what that manager said, what your clock was, where you ran. They're the ones that watch that clock. So they create a hierarchy of authority where people sit and then determine what you're going to pay each job. Selection and evaluation system that rewards employees fairly and equitably. So if you make 15 sewing machines and another person makes 10, I'm going to give you more compensation. Or if you work for me for 20 years, you're getting a gold watch. Kind of mess that they came up with. So it's a system there. We got to have those, right? We got to have them in an organization. Clearly specified system of task and role relationship. So you got to know what it is, task that you got to do, what your role is. So you're not going to build the whole sewing machine. You're going to build this particular part. That's the Weber's principle of bureaucracy. Today, bureaucracy is bad, again, because it's over-engineered. This guy was a genius back in the day because he said, this is what we need to do. And he's right, he had to do that. He defined it. So what's a rule? There you go. Formal written instructions to specify actions to be taken under different circumstances to achieve specific goals. So we have rules, right? Show up on time. Be a rule. What's an SOP? And an operating procedure? How to do that particular task, not a rule, but a task, right? Specific sets of written instruction about how to perform a certain aspect of the task. Not a rule that you do A, B, and C. It's a rule that you show up on time, but an SOP is that. And then what's a norm? Yeah, a behavior, right? Unwritten and formal codes of conduct that prescribe how people should act in particular situations. I call it behavior. key between the norm and SOP and rules difference is it's unwritten. So in our workplace, we all don't eat other people's food out of the refrigerator, right? That's a norm. So places it's good to do that, or you can do that. We dress a certain way, in certain jobs. Just a norm. They don't have to write that down from an SOP. A lot of jobs that way, like the dress code, don't have to. It's a norm. The way we act or behave. So, all these come into play when you're a manager. You need to know the rules. Do not get upset when someone breaks a SOP and try to punish them in a way that they broke a rule, or vice versa. An example would be a guy's late, so corrective actions have to take place. You have to do something. If someone messes up a specific standard operating procedure, that means retraining is involved. Punishment or retraining, depending on what they break. If they break a norm, it wasn't a written rule, and people do this all the time. They try to, you just can get mad if somebody took somebody's food, or they acted a certain way or did a certain thing. It's against the company norm. So everybody doesn't like them. Don't let that emotional intelligence get in the way, and now you're a manager, and you're trying to correct them on a norm. The same way you do a rule. You can certainly correct them. You can say, hey, come here, look around. What's different? The way you're dressed. You're wearing shorts and a flaherty shirt. You don't wear those. We wear khakis in this shirt. They'll go, oh, I didn't know I was breaking any rule. Where's it written down? It's not. You just stand out. That's why people don't like you, because you're different. You can, I don't know if that's the right way to do it, but you know what I'm saying. Now, they show up late, you don't go, man, I really wish you'd come in on when everybody else shows up on time. No. You go, there's a rule. I've given you the rules. When you first started, you broke the rule, therefore it's consequence. SOP, why are you going out of the way of doing this business? I didn't know any better. No, let me retrain you. See what I'm saying? The manager or leader, you need to know which rules and what you got. That's why it's important. Fail. Principles of management. This is why I changed our paper format too from last time. So many people wrote about fail. I'm tired of hearing about it. He had 14 principles he believed essential to increase management efficiency. You go to your table and note terms and words. Okay? Those are ones that be knowledge. One another reason test goes with 1, 2, and 3 knowledge-based questions. They're there. You need to be able to put them down. But he had his stuff. All right. Here's who I was talking about. Old Mary Pollock. Concerned that Taylor ignored the human side of the organization. And they didn't listen to it. He came up with the norms and stuff, and he came up with the structure, but he didn't take into account that people react differently in different situations. What if I've got a sick mom at home and she lives with me? Back in the day, that happened a lot. Or I got a sick child, or my wife has left me, that kind of thing affects you. You're taking that into account, she said. Her work is still cutting edge and still good stuff. Suggest workers help in analyzing their jobs. If workers have relevant knowledge of the task, then they should control the task. Let me say that again. If workers have relevant knowledge of the task, then they should control the task. See, managers won't come tell you what to do back in the day on how to do it when you weren't doing it right. But then they've never done it. Because when they said you're the guy that builds a sewing machine and you're the guy that tells them the time they come in, remember, there's no training, there's no college degrees running around with those people that get college degrees back in the rich anyway that didn't work. Guess who they picked? They picked people that are friends of the family or already middle class. They hired lower class because they take the wages and they put middle class folks in there that used to be an artisan of some type of, that's your blacksmiths and that kind of stuff. And they made them managers. And they would tell people what to do, and there's a definite hierarchy, but they never took into account that the person that's actually doing it every day has some knowledge. Like, man, they don't know nothing. She's like, actually, like me, being a woman, I don't think I'm very smart. You get what she's saying? There's people that work for you that are smarter about what they do than you are, on at least how to make it more efficient. You're not taking behavioral management into consideration, she says. Right? Or she gets later on talking about, too, how they touchy feely, how things affect people. Mostly ignored at the time. That was that last quote. But she was mostly ignored. 2 reasons. No one wanted to hear that yapping about this person knows as much as me, because that's not true, even though it was in a lot of cases. And 2, again, ironic, ain't it? the person was saying it was a female, but she's saying you're not listening to me either because of that. So then they have the Hawthorne effect. This is interesting. Finding that manager's behavior or leadership approach can affect the worker's level of performance. All right, I'll give you an example of this one. Does that make sense? That the manager can be there actually affects how you work or not? Right.
If you're a bad manager and you're not motivated, because a terrible person, you're not going to want to work as hard.
Right. So this little old lady, Mary Parker, was already saying stuff like this. Right? It's how you approach people is how this matters. They didn't believe that. They just thought, hey, he's a manager. He's supposed to be a manager. He's an anointed manager. You got to listen to him. Right? So they had to sing. I think it was it's in your book, but if it's not a sewing machine factory, maybe it's light bulbs. I don't know. But I will go a sewing machine because I like it. That part's not important. They're in a factory, and they are trying to study production efficiency. How many people you got? So people show up with their computers, and they tell me something bring in 10, right? Always have people, right? So you're looking for it. They show up with a notebook, and they're going to change the conditions, right? The workers show up, and how much they produce. They say, we're going to lower the lights. See if that affects them. They lower the lights. Stuff. And they lower the lights some more. All the way to the point where they can't see. When they can't see, then the efficiency goes down. But there's that point where it didn't affect anything. They'll make it hotter, they'll make it colder. They changed the environment. They couldn't find any correlation until they realized every time you show up for a study, efficiency goes up. Every time somebody was over the clipboard, whether the lights went up or down, the manager, them being watched, made them perform better. But they were being watched. Genius, huh? Didn't it on accident, kind of like discovering penicillin, right? You know they were doing it. They go, oh, no, wait a minute. We are affecting their behavior. We thought maybe this or that, and it had marginal effects. But they saw stuff go up and down, but they could draw a correlation, and they realized, hey, well, Hawthorne said, hey, I found it, named after me. The Hawthorne thing. The manager is there. Management matters. If it didn't really be having this class, I know that's like, wow. But reality is, here's the reason why. Think about it. How do you perform? Do you perform better when certain people are there? Oh, absolutely. Parents do it to kids. Boys do this in middle school when girls show up, right? You see it all the time everywhere. Same thing in the workplace. Boss coming around. Y'all done it. We're all cleaned up. Get ready. The boss coming. All right? They're around. You act like, that's how it goes. So that's what they come up with. So there's some behaviors that you can affect just by being a manager. Make sense? Management's important. Companies try to eliminate middle managers because they don't need them. It's the cost they don't need. You may know of a group of people that's done that. Auto industry, Japan. They cut all that out of there. Didn't need it. Effective little boogers without you. They can do it. You don't need that. Yeah. Nope. How do you think the stuff got by Toyotas and the stuff got broken? Middle managers. How does a company that's known for quality not all suddenly not have quality? Miss things. They cut out all the middle managers. We as managers have worth. Now, sometimes we pay up too much in America, right? But they got really aggressive and streamlined things. That's how that happened in those very renowned, well-known quality field companies. They quit watching their people. Just expected them to do it. Human behavior they forgot about. Humans will do expect what you inspect what you expect. All right? You don't go look and follow up. Tell my kids clean their room. Oh, I'm gonna give you a prime example. Y'all know this, right? Y'all have all done this in college. Some certain things, and I'm gonna give a lot of examples. But last night, kids, cable man's coming. It's gonna be in your rooms. Your rooms were a mess the last time I was up there 10 minutes ago. Clean them rooms if you want a TV in your room. All right. I said, y'all clean your room? Yes. My wife, they clean their room. Yeah. Okay, good. They clean their room. It's upstairs. Upstairs and my wife this morning, waiting on the cable man, nervous, nervous feeling, anxious energy. Hurry up and get here. I'm walking around the house looking, and I go upstairs. Oh, they cleaned it a little bit. Oh, I mean, embarrassing. So I'm up there cleaning up their room for them. I didn't inspect it. And they probably knew from behavior that Daddy, because it's like 6 o'clock when I said it, was getting ready to watch some TV, and he ain't gonna go up there. They cleaned it up partially. Figured they'd roll the dice on that one. I had trained them to do that. You see what I'm saying? That's behavior. And the Hawthorne effect, and then that's why we study this. And that's why it's important as managers we understand what it is we do. That's why I didn't understand when I first became a second lieutenant in the Army, and they handed me a clipboard because I was walking around looking at everything trying to learn. You look like you're trying to learn. Yes, I am. It don't look like that. Look like you know. So honestly, they gave me a clipboard, and they said, when somebody says something to you, you don't have to write it down. Just open it up. This is my advice. Actually, it works. Open it up and look at them, shake your head, and write it down. And I always ask 2 or 3 questions. Even if it don't make sense, ask a question. It worked. I got known early on as a guy that is smart and knows a lot. And I knew nothing. Just because of, I was right, it looked like I was smart. I looked smart. I didn't know. It matters. So tonight when I go home, it's going to be late. They're going to be mad. They're going to be in bed. I'm going to rise them up and they're going to clean their room. I say all that. No, I'm not going to rise them. No, you're not. They're going to sleep. All right, theory X, theory Y. Theory X is, and a lot of people lead this way. They know they shouldn't, but the average employee, this states theory X, the average employee is lazy. They dislike work and will try to do as little as possible. You've been treated like that? Yeah, I read a manager that just assumes that you're lazy and that you don't want to be there. Some people are like that, don't get me wrong, but you don't like them to go to that at first. To ensure that employees work hard, managers should closely supervise them. They know that if I'm not here, you're not going to be. Opposite of what Mary said, the opposite of that. If I'm not here, you're not going to do it. Managers should create strict work rules and implement well-defined systems of rewards and punishment to control employees. We've had that, right? If you do this, I'll give you that. You're lazy. Then there's theory Y. Employees are not inherently lazy. Given the chance, employees will do what is good for the organization. To allow employees to work in the organization's interest, managers must create a work setting that provides opportunities for workers to exercise initiative and self-direction. Managers should decentralize authority to employees and make sure employees have the resources necessary to achieve organizational goals. So yes, it's important that we have managers, but they need to act right. Because just by positive affecting behavior, you can negatively affect behavior. That clipboard thing don't always work. Now, does it? It only works for a minute, and then they figure it out. Kind of like when the kids, you've got to move into theory Y. I think most people believe theory X because I'm important, so you need me, and then I read it and I go, that's not me. But then if you go back and look how most people start off leading, that's kind of where they are. You need to evolve over into Y, right? That employees are not inherently lazy. Given the chance, they will do what is good for the organization. That's where we want to be at, right? We've had theory Y managers in our lives, I'm sure, and theory X. And you need to try to be theory Y and understand. You know that that feeling right before you make a bad decision? Not really, right? I mean, after you did it, yeah. But if you're doing it, you're doing it. But here's the thing. When you're about to do something, you're probably thinking it's a good idea. Remember, employees probably do not wake up like when you woke up. They're probably a lot like us. When you woke up this morning, you probably didn't go to work saying, I'm fixing to mess some things up today. I'm going to take 4 people off. I'm going to tear up the systems, and I'm not going to do right. Now, I have employees, you try them too, to come to work. They've ticked off of everybody. They tore up the systems and broke things. Why? What did I do to cause that? What did I not do to prevent that? If you approach it from those 2 questions before you go to talk to them or discipline them in any way or correct the situation, you'll come up with a better solution 9 times out versus going to them, you did this wrong. You see what I'm saying? Theory Y and X can be reversed into your management when you think about it, and you know, dealing with something, realize it. Probably not. Sometimes you'll find out it's very disappointing when you do. They intentionally did something stupid just to
Sometimes I'm guilty of completely letting them fall flat on his face. Just so somebody will learn how to do it better.
Yeah.
Or just so that something will realize like that's wrong. And it's better.
gotta change. Yeah.
But
Well, sometimes that's your only alternative or a best alternative.
in the mail, because I got a new manager, and the way we do stuff, I would think versus when she do stuff at her bank, thinking she's gonna bring those ways over here, and I'm like, to not to disrespect her authority, I'm gonna pull back and let her see that what you was taught here is something different from here.
Right.
Because I feel like if I constantly say something to her, I feel like I'm going to be disrespecting her
Right.
authority.
you don't want to undermine them.
I don't get.
Yeah.
So now I'm just gonna like, it just coming in my mind, just go back. She's gotta learn how this company do things.
Right, because you want to be a learning organization. You want to have a learning attitude. A lot of times, we're a victim of our own success. That happens when they move managers and stuff. You know, you show up, and I just started a new job, and I'm a leader, the boss over this. It's the same thing. They're attacking the problem, and I'm watching it, and they're at a failure right now. Here's the hard part: is that right there? I was a success here, I'm coming over there. So my best point of reference is to say, well, when we do this, and that's kind of where they're at, is it's like, yeah, you don't know yet. You don't know what we've done. Okay, well, I got you. So we're in between those two. What's to my advantage is, and it's a bad mistake, and I want it to be my advantage, is it's a measurable thing, and they're at failure. So I'm at a week and a half, and I'm like, how long do I wait? How much time do I have before I say, yeah, you're not listening, and I got it. You think I don't know, but you're at failure. Had you been not at failure, I probably wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be asking this question in a minute. So I have an advantage there. So, you know, y'all are not at failure. But I've certainly been in that position where I've been a victim of my own success. I did well here. I go over there, and I'm like, A, B, and C works. Let's do A, B, and C. It's completely different, or even slightly different. Or they're both can get to the same. That's very possible. Both ways can get to the same result. Back to over here, allow employees to work in the organization interest. Let them come up with it. Don't have to be my way as a manager. How do you get around that? How do you know you're doing that? Go back to your goals. Not what I want to do. Are we achieving the goals? If what you're saying, and it's what this will be my talk to them later on if you don't get to where it is. So what are our goals? By the way, they haven't been written down. But, you know, show me your goals. Show me why my ways you're not getting us to your goals, and show me why your ways are better to get to your goals. Now, if you can show me, and I'll tell them so front, if you can show me that your ways will get to goals, to achieve this organization's goals, then I'll scrap mine. Even though mine will get us there too. I will take your way over mine. I'm going to tell them that up front. However, I doubt we'll get to that one very soon because right now we ain't in my goals. So we're back to, well, how do we have an organization don't have goals? So they should know that. So we're going to back off. We're going to back that off in a week or so because it's still way too early. They didn't even get to know. And we're going to back that off. And I got a couple weeks where we have to produce something. So I'm going to back off those goals and say, give me some goals. And then I'll back off of it and I'm going to give me the goals. And then when I give me the goals, it'll be hard. But I'm going to say, this is hard. How do we achieve it? Because if they don't get the right goals, it's my job. I hope they espouse to me the right goals. They might not. And I said, nah, I'm the boss, so here's the goals. And they were given to me, I didn't create it. So here we are. But then I'm gonna say, how do you want to get them? Because I'm gonna try to be a why, not an X. I'm gonna assume that they can get there. And they're gonna give me a way to do it. It's probably not gonna match mine that I've already reached success at this schoolhouse that I'm sitting in today. But it's gonna be hard. But I'm gonna go back and remember my 30X days, 30Y days, and say, okay, let's try it. And that's what your manager needs to do. She's not doing it. So you're doing the right thing. You gotta. Sometimes you gotta let's see that don't work.
I'm struggling with that big time because I'm rooming somebody. I'm leaving sometime this summer. I'm out. I've been trying to train somebody to take over a bunch of my stuff. And they tell me, I want to do it this way, and it works. And I struggle to let them just kind of take over.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of better for her just to kind of fall flat on her face.
Yep.
That's because I've been at this thing for 10 years, so I know how they want stuff done. And then somebody comes in new, they listen to what the big managers say and how it's done. And I was like, they tell me personally, but when you do it, commission is totally different from what they tell me. You got to know how to take what they're telling you and apply it, but stay right, but it's different from you. You have to know how to do your strategy.
Okay. Yeah, knowledge-based versus application. It's a standard from which we deviate. Knowledge is a standard that you have, but you got to deviate. Now, you got to have a certain set standard that we're all on the same sheet of music in the bank. Obviously, there's banking rules and things y'all got to do. That's good to know, like you said. But then you got to adapt. Now, I don't know if you ever watched the old war movies, but you've seen it. Saving Private Ryan. Seen Saving Private Ryan? Remember when y'all seen, he met Lieutenant Dan? Lieutenant Dan, him and Bubba Gump guy, they're both meeting him, and he starts tearing off their equipment. Get rid of this, do that, right? They were trained a certain way, and when you get into that environment, they have a standard. You have to show up the standard. Because if they had showed up without that, they'd got yelled at. You don't have your right stuff. But then this doesn't work here because things have changed. So you're absolutely right. But it's important as a manager to understand what that standard is and make sure that everybody understands this standard. It's okay to deviate. The problem is when you have no standard and you deviate, and I try to fix it, we have no home base to go to. So, for example, someone leaves the vault open, we can go back to the standard. We should not have done that. Only walked out of here. But if you handle it a certain different way beyond that, so yeah, it's all in there. In police world, teaching especially, right? How, like you said, you have your way of getting across. Police world, no doubt about it. You have a way of handling someone and someone else. You have standards. You got to treat them with a certain amount of respect and know the law. But from there, and you all have that. You all know those base what you got to do. How you deal with that situation based on your experience is completely different than somewhere else. But when your officers mess up, you can go back to your standard, right?
You can do that, reframe, or like I said, your SOP. No, your SOP ain't telling you how to do it. For example, you get the guidelines sometimes and say you can do this, or this before you actually have to do something. I've had to retrain probably 2 guys before they finally understood.
Yep.
And it was most of their mistakes, good initiative, bad judgment. Basically, what a lot of theirs boiled down to. They weren't bad officers. They just didn't train where they were at. Came into us, like, well, I worked here, this big a sheriff's department, Arkansas, small town department. Believe it or not, a lot goes on here. What y'all were doing there, hurt here.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be just like us moving from here to a bigger city that has more crime. What you did here, you're not going to do it.
Yeah, right. You have the base from a leader or wherever you got your training, but then you have to change it into there, fundamentals when it comes to soccer, right? Your fundamentals, and then team plays a little bit different. For my Zoom students, one HR major, HR is the place that keeps your standards for you. If you're big enough to have a company that have human resources, everybody thinks that they just go around and do this kind of training, do this, or these silly rules. The reason you have human resources is to make sure that base standard's out there. That's their whole base of business out there. Not just to keep up with the employees. That's an inherent responsibility they got. But what makes HR effective, when you have an effective one, and I'm very big, I would love for HR to be effective. A lot of them are, and a lot of them are not, is when they make that leap to how do we ensure that everybody understands these things, knows this towards the goal. And they're the holder of that. So when it's done correctly, it's an awesome thing. All right, theory YX, we can move on. Contemporary management science theory is a contemporary approach to management that focuses on the use of rigorous quantitative techniques to help managers make maximum use of organizational resources to produce goods and services. It's newer and it's quantitative, so we can measure it, and it helps us to maximize our resources. Very important to do. Okay. and this is the way it works. You got to input, then you convert it, and then it comes out, and then you're back into your cells. You might see that makes sense to you. We'll spend a whole lot of time on that one. That's an open system. All right, then the contingency theory talks about the characteristics of the environment, determine the design of organizational structure and control, and then how does that affect you with your environment and your changing back and forth. The key is a little note down here. There's no one best way to organize. Organizational structures depend on the environment which organization operates. So you can change your structure. People get sick of me in my world because I change structures a lot because the environment changed. I can tell you how we operate here today is completely different than if I move overseas to somewhere else. So we change our structures up. We have a term, train as you fight. And that's a misnomer. We try that. We make training rules as can, but the reality is you're going to change some things due to your environment. The companies, as a manager, you got to be able to see that and not get stuck to one way of organizing. Like your manager showing up, she's used to one way. She's in a different environment now. Talking about your officers. A sheriff's deputy, wise a law enforcement officer, is different from a PD person. And a PD person in Mayflower is different from a PD person at Little Rock. Like I said, I would venture to guess that a Mayflower police guy will have a lot more varied tasks than a Little Rock police officer on patrol. Little Rock police officer on patrol has an entire support system. So what they do is pretty much narrow. Now, it's a lot of it, and you do that there in that particular neighborhood or beat or whatever it is you're doing. But if you encounter something, you have someone else to call to handle that. It's like, I will just part this, part that, part this. If you're in Mayflower PD, you're probably that person, and it's probably you and maybe one other, and you're got a wider range of tasks. So you might be less specialized in that one task, but you got to do a lot more. So yeah, there's differences. Then a sheriff's deputy, or I'm a different one to state trooper, to an FBI agent, to the Gestapo in Italy. They all act different, although they have the same role, which is law and order. So organizing yourself depends on the environment. Be willing as a manager to assess your environment and change. That's key. Not to go over those. Those are pretty much knowledge based. That's where it is. Any questions on that? One more chapter to go. Do we need a break? Anybody? Restroom break or anything? Y'all good? Y'all strong? All right. You need to go? Go to the bathroom. Wait. Couple minutes. You're fine. And I'll go too. I can wait, but if you guys are going to go, we'll go a couple minutes. Zoom students, we're a couple minute break, okay?
How long is the next PowerPoint?
About the same as this one. We'll be done in 15 minutes probably. 20. I don't know how much I'll talk about it, but Let me pull it up.
My,
I think something watching the news thing.
What's that?
One of our officers caught something on video, which what's going on in the news around the world right now. The police officers video.
Mm-hmm.
Ones that don't have it get scrutinized, and some of the ones that don't. You're talking about maybe 2% of the officers in the world doing something that shouldn't be done. They look at everybody the same way.
That's what I'm for, videos.
Well,
Help you.
oh, it is. It'll exonerate you from anything. But they had FBI has been investigating the right about it. Really, deputies inmate after he's done. But thing is, the guy they were kicking him, I know it's important, they put him down shooting him and driving the car. And one of their officers got arrested. He got fired. Four officers. So there's probably going to be some indictments for one thing because they called and said the FBI told them that's why on the video. That just happened today. So it'll be all over the news tomorrow. But now falls in that bracket now. So it's like Arkansas doesn't really think
Exactly.
and it's
It's gonna be real bad.
I think guy, I get tired of it, and the thing is, what's bad, their management. They fire these guys and all that.
Exactly. Now they're gonna find out that they're still on the board.
And the problem with Fulton County, they're all telling the bill with it. I know you, I not know you, and that's fine. One of them got his new job. But he ain't gonna, for what he said on this, he said he didn't see anything wrong with it. He didn't do this. Next thing you know, the Mayflower officer was there and video was running. That's why the county's against having video.
I know a couple other officers that they feel like they're able to help people better, but
They don't think, well, no, pay through.
there may be that they absolutely have to. If somebody's doing something bad, they've got to.
Hey, Teresa, you still on?
Yes.
So I'm just now looking at my phone. So you're the one that texted me, right? About not being able to get on?
I finally figured it out.
Okay, good. I was making sure there's no other Teresa that I needed to be calling back. I should have looked at my phone earlier.
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. So you got it figured out, huh?
I sure did.
Good.
Thank you.
You bet. Me and Zoom go round and round, so.
I mean, her she sounded good, you know, nice, polite, had the video running. No more than 10 minutes after I got off that stop, she called me an officer. Okay, over there. She said, well, you know, you just got a formal complaint. And she said, you cussed this lady up and down, threw stuff at her. I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, he's like, got the video? I said, yes, sir, I do. He watched the video and said, I don't understand. He called her in there. He called back. And he's like, yeah, that's the officer. That's the one who did all that. And he says, ma'am, would you like to put that in writing? He put it in writing. He played the video, and then he arrested her on false. But if I hadn't had that video, his word wouldn't be. And that's what society basically got into.
That's so unfortunate.
I like the video a lot. The ones that don't like having the video, or maybe they don't like it, they're doing something wrong somewhere. Something they shouldn't be doing.
All right, we'll get back to rolling. Attitudes, values, attitudes, emotions, and culture. The manager as a person. We're going to talk about, and I've already given the big spill about emotional intelligence. It always jumps out early in every briefing I do or class I do because it's near and dear to my heart, and I have to work on it. But we'll go over chapter 3. That'll be it for the night. Big 5 personality traits. All right, before I get into them, I want to talk about them now. Some of your assignments, you'll take a personality test I got for you, or some sort of type test. There's like a million of them. I've taken them. Myers-Briggs, I mean NTJ and all that stuff. People put that on there. I gotta have a chart in front of me to tell you what I am. You know, I tell you what I am though. I am like the only guy in my entire work environment that meets mine, because in the military I'm just a different mindset, a way of seeing things, and the way I operate. For whatever reason, every time I go through those, I always get embarrassed. I'm the loner. But in a lot of different groups of people, you know, of different types of jobs, people do that. Here's the thing I want you to remember about this. Whether it's Myers-Briggs or any of the ones, personality tests that you get or anything else, it's kind of like reading your whole horoscope and this and that and all that. It's all in that. But these, a lot of science to them, none, and they always ask us, is it good to be this and you're proud to be that? None are any better traits than the other. Okay? These are merely traits, not characteristics. People get those backwards and mixed up. Okay? Characteristics are different. Traits are just how you are. Right? So it's important that you understand how you are and you're able to accentuate the positives of that particular trait and mitigate the negatives of the particular trait. Everybody good? So if you're extrovert, you're not better than an introvert. If you're introvert, you're not better than an extrovert, depending on where you're at and what time you are, blah, 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 situation. But what is important is 2 things. 1, to understand what you are as I said, so that you can mitigate or accentuate the positives and the negatives. And number two, accurately describe yourself as to how other people describe you. Cognitive dissonance, I can't say the word, but the distance between the two, how you see yourself and other people see you, really leads to behavior problems. Book don't get into that, but I want you to understand. If I think that I have these particular traits and other people see them different, right? I'm actively trying to accentuate the positives of it, right? While and that could be a negative. An example would be, if I think that I am an introvert, but y'all think that I'm an extrovert, right? I try to extrovert. You already think I'm extrovert. You think this guy's bowling me over. He won't shut up. I've done that because I feel as if I'm an introvert a lot of the time. I've always felt a little different or nervous around crowds. So I try to be an extrovert. My daughter does the same thing. So then I talk. I'm trying to get along. And I go, God, what if you shut up? That's an example. So it's not only important to know what your traits are, but how other people view your traits. Doesn't always mean don't go with that first person and go, what do you see me as? So you'll notice a lot of studies is when you take these classes that I've been to, you have to send out to all your buddies or coworkers, and they'll have to tell you what they think of you. And no one likes doing it. But they get a good way of cutting around the point of they're going to say nice things and all that. But they ask them the same question every 3 times. You never do that over and over and over. Some of the police tricks, ask you 14 different ways the same question. But they ask you that and they get at it so that you can see how you're perceived so that you'll know then too. Funny is the people who are more in tune and they've rated themselves and how people rate them, not one being better than another, but the more successful people are the ones who that gap is narrower. Does that make sense? So it's not enough anymore just to know how you are, it's to know how people perceive you. And it's okay, there's going to be some gap there. I'm going to see myself as really cool, and you're not going to see me as cool. I got that. But I got to know that, right? And as long as I have developed a way of understanding your feedback to me.
That's what I'm working on here, because at my place, we get sticker shock. And if you look at me and don't know who I am, I can have a mean expression on my face. So to people, I look like I'm mean and don't want to be bothered with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'll be like, pray about it. Like, Lord, you help me to figure out some kind of way where I can show my facial expression different. So, like you're saying, is find out who you are and how people see you and try to do something about it. That's where I'm at now.
Yeah, and it's not easy, but identifying is the first step and figuring out, especially in the customer service world, because now you got to do something there, different. And yes, a lot of times first impressions, get one with years. In my job, though, even with mine, I'm going to work with them for a while, like when I come in. I mean, I really worked on and studied how my first day in my new job was. Because it's always weird. It's kind of like the new gate or something. Because 4 years of being here, this particular building with these guys, and I left, very familiar. They know all of my stories. They know my ways and habits and things, and I'm very familiar with them. So when the new guy came in to ride with me, it makes a difficult transition for him, and I got out of here quickly. I had a whole other 2 or 3 weeks I had to turn over quickly because it's hard to pass that on. He's not going to be as familiar and stuff. Oh, so you handle it this way. Yeah, you don't. And here's the reason why. Because you won't have the backstory of this. You need to start. And I'm not going to give you that because I won't credit you in any way. You need to start that particular way. So, but when I go to my new job, it'll be interesting here to see how those guys think of me. Because I just got a text message from the guy asking what my work schedule is. The guy that works for me is asking me because he wants to know when I'm going to be in or what. And if it was one of these guys here, I know exactly what he's getting at. I don't know what the guy's getting at. And I'll tell him to work back. If he's wanting to be, I don't know. You know what I mean? What do they think of me? And but I really worked on how my first presentation day was early. I thought about it. Like, how am I going to go in here? What am I going to say? Because it's tough for me not to say a lot. And I don't need to say a lot on the first day. I need to listen. See, first to understand, not to be understood. Right? So knowing that and try to understand what people, and that's tough, especially for a guy like me. You got to stop and listen and think especially a guy who likes to teach and stuff. For teaching, I don't have to do that. I have to really worry about that so much. I just got to get my point right. But I need to understand what it is people think of me first, right? So yeah, you get the secret shop. At least you got some feedback though on it. That's good. But y'all do. We did this at school. You know, I was actually pretty nervous in the last class. You know, first time I got online in this and trying to do it, and I saw my BlackBerry and I saw from Miss Moore saying your results are in, knowing I can't open it very well on my BlackBerry board, BlackBerry government thing they give me, and I'm trying to read it. And I'm like, I got to read it, so I have to run to a place where I can get the computer because I'm nervous about seeing the how people perceived what I did. And it was funny because some of them were different from how I perceived. They were good, but you know, the things that I really worked on and then the things I didn't, it's just kind of funny to see that. So I was like, okay, good. So I have to apply it back to this class. So it's good to know those things. So we'll jump into extroversion, negative affectivity, agreeableness, conscientious, and openness to experiences. These are the 5 personality traits, not characteristics. Those are different. Personal traits that enhance managerial effectiveness in one situation may actually impair it in another. That's what I'm talking about. In some situations, it's good to be an extrovert, and some it's not, vice versa, right? We can well see that. It's knowing locus of control. Internal, responsible for his own fate. External, own actions make little difference. So how you see things, are you responsible for your own fate, or are you that person that says it don't make any difference to you, right? I'm a high locus of internal control guy. I think I control more than I do, right? Good in some situations. It's good in my job a lot of times. At home, a lot of times it's not. Dealing with kids and stuff. There's some things I'm just not in control of, but I think I am. I want to be, so it creates some attention. You don't want to be that overbearing dad in the black socks and the shorts, yelling at people for walking on your grass. I'm trying my grass to look good, and they don't get it. If you walk on it, it don't look as good, and the kids want to play in it. They have the nicest grass on the block, and when they want to play football, and I want to yell at them. I really can't control it. You see what I'm saying? But I think I can. I think I can control how the grass grows. My wife reminds me, you can't control how the grass grows. Let them walk on it. So, you know, that's me. Self-esteem. How do you feel about yourself and your own capabilities? Needs for achievement. The extent to which an individual has a strong desire to perform challenging tasks well and to meet personal standards for excellence. Now, this is where I get weird. I don't have a need for achievement. You don't want to play sports with me if you're competitive. I don't care if we win. Right? I drive some people crazy. You know, I gotta let them win. You know, I had a guy. We were doing our office thing out at the river back in the spring and team building in the summer. You ever seen the game Bago where you throw the little bag in the little thing? I'm not good at a lot of things, but I could be 3-time state champion at Bago. I mean, I'm good at Bago. I don't know why. But my sergeant major, he wants to play Bago. He sees it's out there. He's never played Bago. But he's the kind of, he's never played Bago. You want to play it, and you get beat. Why would you be mad? I could care less if you beat. But I'm throwing underhand, and I'm tossing overhand. I'm just killing him. He's going to play again. Me and this other guy, we're playing team. My partner's okay, but I'm just carried. I'm winning. So I beat him. 2 out of 3. Man, I really need to go over here. 2 out of 3. You don't want, you know, he starts shaming me. Okay, so I beat him. 2. 3 out of 5. And we're up to about 15 games. Finally, I got to let the guy win. I got to do it in a way that, you know, I tried a couple times to walk away. No, he wants to win, but he wants to beat me. So I started making mad throws. A couple games, he craps at me for giving me the game, so I have to start making them again. So he fancies himself being in really good shape. I'm old. I'm like, I act like I'm getting tired. He beat me because I got tired in his mind. And he still to this day, another day. Man, yeah, I wore you down. I might be older than you, but I wore you down. You beat me at first, but I got you. If you play a long time, I'll beat you. I'll let you win, but I didn't say it. Some people's need for achievement is huge, right? Mine's not. Not good. Need for power, the extent to which an individual desires to control or influence others. I have a strong desire to influence others. The control is a bad word. Sometimes I'm not a crazy guy. I'm not ever trying to control what to do. I really like to influence people. That's why I like to be a teacher. I like to influence. but I don't have that. I'm flipped there. What really comes an issue, I say an issue, because none are better than others, but when you got the person that has to achieve and has to control it, when you get into Myers-Briggs, you'll see those over there. They're very valuable in some situations, and in other times they're the ones that have a high divorce rate, they're tied that to it. You just got to know. Need for affiliation, the extent to which an individual is concerned about establishing and maintaining good interpersonal relationships, being liked, and having other people get along. Yeah. A lot of people don't have to have that. Do me, yes. Man, I'm worried, about getting along and concerned. Really want to. Again, I've always grown up thinking I was different, so I've always wanted to be. I hear kids today just want to be different. I'm thinking, man, I just want to fit in. Can I just be like everybody else? So I have a high need on all my tests for affiliation. Now, we're in the value. So what you do before we get out of that is understand yourself. Understand what you have in those. And again, one's not better than the other in a trait. It's just what they are. You don't change those. People try to get you to change your personality traits, then they're wrong. You're not going to do that. My wife was writing some stuff for a doctor. I'm so proud because it's a nursing that the management class, and they got traits and values mixed up. Her instructor did. I was like, I got something I thought would be smart with you. So I had explained to her, and she got explained to them where they wanted her to be more assertive. Well, I've told me to be more assertive. She's a great leader. She's quiet. I'm loud, but she doesn't need to change. I don't need to try to be quiet either. That's not me. I need to understand and shut my mouth sometimes. She needs to learn to speak up sometimes. We got that. But you don't change those traits. You don't change who you are and where you're wired. That will create issues, right? You just have to learn how to mitigate those. So, for example, instead of trying to smile every time you see someone, end it with a smile or a kind word or something different. Because that's the natural look that you're not going to change. They think that, but that's okay. You just got to know before they leave, you're trying to achieve them understanding that you care. So you can just throw it out there and say it or do it, find a way to do it. So there's always ways around those things. So I was just explaining that to her. Don't not be you. I love you. You don't change. Now, can we accentuate those traits that are positive, and can we mitigate those negatives? Absolutely. But don't ever let someone try to tell you that I need to be more assertive. You're not actually more assertive. Now, in a situation, of course, you have to say something. That's what comes into being made as a leader or not. Just don't need to change those. Terminal value, personal conviction about lifelong goals or objectives. Instrumental value, personal conviction about desired modes of conduct. And then there's norms again, unwritten formal codes of conduct. Organizational commitment, the collection of feelings and beliefs that managers have about their organization as a whole. You want high organizational commitment, right? As a manager, you want to have that. You want to achieve that with your people. You want everybody having beliefs about. This is why Japan seceded for a long time, even when they cut out the middle managers. Here's why. But then they failed later. Is because when you went to work for Toyota or any of those companies that they had, it was a lifelong endeavor, and your kids went to work there. And your entire family was supported by that. The only person that worked in the house was the male. That was their society. And then the entire family had to revolve around that company. And if you did good, your kids had a job. If you did bad, your kids didn't have a job. You lose your job, you disgraced your family. They have a high suicide rate, blah, blah, blah. They did really well because they had a high organizational commitment. So they were able to, then to cheapen the price, cut out managers in the middle because people came because if I didn't come and do this, my kids wouldn't have a job. Would you think about your job a little bit different if your kids' future depended on it? Not because of the paycheck, because if they had a job or not. There wasn't in America where they can get a job wherever they apply themselves to or however. They were in an environment that if you didn't do good, your kids didn't have a chance. They were back to their feudal system. So it spiked up very high in the 80s, right? High quality and everything else that they stressed, and they got to do it cheaply because they had to pay the middle managers. We had to do. The problem is the companies gave up on that portion of it. I say they gave up, they didn't. When those people became wealthy and did good, what did they do? You don't want a system to where your kids are pigeonholed to where you're at. When you achieve wealth, what do you want? Better for your kids. And that means they got to have options. That means you want them to go and learn other things. They found out that these managers that were successful started saying, you don't want to work for this company. My whole life I've been scared to death that I might do something wrong. And I love you, so I don't want that for you. I did that for you so that you wouldn't have to do that. So the high organizational commitment then went down because the kids are out. And then the new guys come in and it changed. So then they don't have a middle management system, so then quality drops. So it's a good study. So they did well for a while, and then now they're building as much in America as everywhere else. They're just another big corporation. And they're doing well. It's just, you have to. In fact, Nissan is being ran by a guy from France. And they're doing quite well because of it. Because this guy, they're like, whoa, time out. Too many Japanese running their own companies because they have one way of doing business. We've got to get innovative. And they were for a while, but in a way. High organizational commitment, you want to get it. Here it is, motion says, and I've talked all about it. The ability to understand and manage one's own moods and emotions and the moods and emotions of other people. And you got to understand how people are and not get too upset when they're upset. Probably it's better than a bike situation. They get mad for no reason, you know. They had to wait 10 minutes. And it's like, it was your fault. No, I didn't do that. But you got to deal with that.
It would be 30 seconds and they say, you know, 30 minutes.
Yeah. You can't have help managers carry out their interpersonal roles, figurehead, leader, or liaison. You got to have emotional intelligence, or at least understand it if you don't, and work on it. That's one of those out there you got to see. Not only knowing yours though, you got to see when other people's not displaying it. You know how to deal with it. And not overreact to theirs either. That's the second part of one's own moods, emotions, and the emotions of other people. Don't let their emotions dictate what you do. If you can have it. Organizational culture, the shared set of beliefs, expectations, values, norms, and work routines that influence how individuals, groups, and teams interact with one another and cooperate to achieve organizational goals. Can you think of an organization that has a culture that is known and seen? Well, they do, yeah, absolutely. Anybody else out there? Apple. Apple has an organizational culture where they do business, which is different from other folks who file of Apple products because they work. Microsoft products for me don't work. You got to fix them. My iPad and iPhone works. I know old people use iPhones. I'm old, but it works for me. So they have a culture to build things in that way. Here's one that I see all the time that we know is a culture out there. We see it in stereotypes throughout there. The commercials do it. It's you, Marine Corps. They're known for a certain culture, are they not? When you say Marines, you think of a certain organization value. Our other commercials, those are the same thing, right? Meanwhile, the Army's trying to sell you a good deal that will educate you, do this, do that. Marines ain't selling anything. It's a bad, hard job. They're just selling the culture to you. Shared beliefs, expectation, and values. This is going to be, you're going to be this. Now, they show you a pretty picture of their nice uniform and a shiny sword, you know, and then you realize this is not fun, but they're selling the culture. But there's cultures, so we all know what that is in an organization. We all have them, right? Soccer team has a culture, doesn't it not? They have a certain way of doing business. You don't hang out with the basketball players. Maybe you do, but you don't. Y'all view things and do things differently than basketball players, right? You probably haven't seen them, but you know what I mean. Band football, right? Two different cultures in organizations. Terminal values signify what an organization and its employees are trying to accomplish. The instrumental values guide the ways in which the organization and its members achieve organizational goals. So one determined is what you're trying to get at, and another one is how you're going to get at it. Roles, values, and norms. Managers determine and shape organizational culture through the kinds of values and norms that promote an organization. Factors affecting the organization culture. Here's how you get to culture. You want a good, positive culture, right? Well, the founder obviously has a lot to do with the culture they set. Steve Jobs had a lot to do with the Apple culture, right? Of creating it. We're going with this Marine thing. Don't know the first Marine, but they come up with a good culture. Ceremonies and rites. Military, we're big about that. I'm sure that they have them in your soccer team. I don't know about at banks and their teachers, but there's ceremonies and rites that we do to get an apple from a student. I don't know, but there's things out there that y'all create in each thing that determines that it affects you, right? You should have them if you don't. There should be things that they all have our own things that we achieve within our stories and language, you know, where you come from and the language that we use, and how we use it and the terminology and stuff. And then socialization. How is it that we take people in and fit them into life? Do we do a good job of socializing you, make you a good banker, a good police officer, a good soccer steward, player, or whatever. What's the position of soccer forward? And then, yeah, to do that, and then teaching. How do we socialize into doing that? Do we do do that? So those are the things that affect your culture. We'll get a little bit into there. We know formal, advanced, and recognized incidents of importance or organizations. Every company seems to have their little deal. Get the police officer of the year award or whatever it is, teacher of the year award, whatever. Of course, in sports, there's always the trophy, MVP, and stuff like that. Ceremonies and rites. Rites of passage determine how individuals enter, advance within, or leave the organization. We know there's that informal way of, even though you made it and you got here, we accept you as our own now. Shared announcement of organizational success, build and reinforce common bonds among organizational members. So we want you to be part of the team. So after a month or 2 months, or give you that deal, bring you in, treat you as part of it. Right to enchantment, lead or enhancement. Enhancement. Let organizations publicly recognize and reward employees' contributions and thus strengthen their commitment to the organization values. So the managers come in there and give you that pat on the back. All right. That was a quick one, but spent a lot more time on the first one. But the first one to me is what meets out the other's knowledge. You can read and get it. We will have to skip a lot of things. It's knowledge based. I'll typically skip it. Unless someone put it on the test, but it's going to be easy. First night. That's it. Any questions, problems, concerns? Be looking on web study for your rubric on your paper. You're thinking about an organization in which you want to do an analysis of that you can get enough information on, and the rubric will tell you what the things I'm looking for to do your paper. Be prepared for your outline to follow that. Outline's real simple. It should have the name of the company, so the title basically, and whatever I put in that rubric that you should have should be your kind of a main point. And you should be looking for some subpoints under it. It can be in non-sentence and in bullet format. That's fine. You can be well developed. I'll still look at it and let you know where you're going. But basically, I'm going to make sure in the outline that you have a subject in which there's enough of information and you're on the right track as to what you're in. You want the outline Monday? I wouldn't have anything. I think on the second week it's the end of next week. In there. So tonight, tomorrow night, be looking. You should see it. I'll get it up tonight, probably tomorrow. The rubric. Main thing right now is pick your company and let you know through web study. I'll open that up where you tell me what company you got. So I'll look at it. Not a graded event. Outline is graded event. 50 points though. What you'll get on the outline is not turning it in and get you 0. Turning it in and having 2 lines on it will get you less points. If you make an honest effort at what you think your main topics are going to be, then you're good. I mean, and you don't have to have any book references or anything tied into it. Just this is the direction that I'm going. I see the direction that you're going. And if you're going in the wrong direction, I won't count off. I'll just say, hey, you might consider this. You're not going to get 20 points because you went the wrong way. That's why I'm doing the outline, is to ensure that you got it, because I want the paper to be good. So this will get you there. And you should always, I don't know if I ever talked to you, people ever talked to this, and if you do it this way, I used to not. It took me a while to figure this out. I don't know why. When you're writing the paper, always do an outline. And go back and forth. It'll get your direction straight. Floating off and everything. So just a good thing. Okay. Appreciate it. Very good class. Y'all participated well. Any other questions? Online Zoom students, y'all got any questions?
Not that I can think of right now.
And the only thing is, I noticed I have a quiz 2, and it shows that I missed it, and we haven't taken quiz 2 yet. In the grade book.
Oh yeah, I'll go back and try to fix that in the grade book. It does weird things to me. I don't know why.
Okay, thanks.
But yeah, you're good. Only quiz 1's open. Have you taken quiz 1 yet?
I have.
Okay. How'd you do? You don't have to say it out loud if you don't want to. You okay?
I did okay, yes.
Okay. I'll go back and look at all of those and I'll start my grading tonight and tomorrow of the discussions and
Okay.
homework. So
Yep.
And if you didn't catch me at the first, everything that we do, that you turn in for a grade, I will make a comment on it. So read the comments,
Okay.
good, bad, or indifferent. That'll way you know where you're at.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Y'all have a good night.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
See everybody on Thursday. I've got to disappoint my boss tomorrow. I'm supposed to travel to DC Thursday. I told him I could in the new job. And then it hit me on the way here. I've got a class Thursday night. So I'll be here. I'm there at least once a month. Yeah. Stop share.
Have a good week.
Thanks, y'all too.